Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Begin to ping your followers. Those of you that are on Facebook and on YouTube, begin to share with your followers. We're going to get started in just a moment. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Something to Think About broadcast. I am your host, Apostle Aaron Randall. In the business world, I am known as Ace. You are tuning in to the 8th installment of Putting Legs to Your Vision. As you guys are coming into the room, as you're coming in on Clubhouse, please ping more followers into the room. For those of you that are watching via online, via Facebook and YouTube, begin to share on your platforms. If you are interested in joining this conversation, come on in the house where the feast of the Lord is at. We're in the house. We on Clubhouse. Come on in. We are getting into this dialogue conversation. It's not more about you just listening to me, but I want you to be a part of this conversation. So look at the link in the description that you have there on Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter, and click that link, create a profile, and come and be a part of this conversation here on Clubhouse. you're not able to download the app, that's well and fine. If you want to post your comments, I will see your comments. I want to make sure that you are engaged and a part of this conversation. There's going to be a lot of questions that you can ask, is that you can be involved. You can share your testimonies, or whatever that you've been a part of this journey. We would love to hear from you, especially for those of you that are watching online. For those of you that in Clubhouse, thank you for coming up. Thank you for coming up to the platform. If I'm going to go across the room and I'm going to allow you guys to introduce yourselves. I do this every week so that those that are new, that do not know who you are, you can begin to introduce yourself and bring you in the room. But before I do that, again, thank you all for tuning in to the Something to Think About broadcast. Again, we are in the 8th installment of this series entitled Putting Legs to Your Vision. So if you've missed it, if you just coming in for the first time, don't worry. We have all the replays available on YouTube. And so you can click on my photo and go under my bio, and you will see the link to the YouTube channel, and you will see all of the previous videos there on YouTube that you could be able to go back and watch. I know they might seem a little lengthy, but I guarantee you there's a lot of wisdom nuggets and gems in there that's going to really be a blessing to your life, that's really going to assist you in putting legs to your vision. So before we get started, let's go ahead and just kind of go around the room. For those of you that are in the listening lounge, you are welcome to come up and be a part of this discussion. It's not just about me talking. It's not about those that are just on the platform talking, but I want you to feel like you could be engaged and be involved in this discussions. So let me start with my friend, Miss Lisa. Thank you so much for coming up. You know, you always be one of the first ones in the room. So I gotta, hit you first and have you to just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about either a business or ministry or venture that you're putting legs to.
Thank you, Apostle. I'm gonna start coming in at like 9 o'clock so that I'm not the first one you call.
It's too late. I'm still gonna call on you first.
Oh my gosh! Well, thank you so much for creating this space, for inviting me up. Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa. I'm on Clubhouse, and I'm a social worker as well as a counselor, pastor. Just working for Christ all around. Whatever he needs me to be, that's what I am. I am a part of a ministry, and I would call it a ministry here on Clubhouse called Dear Future Husband, Dear Future Wife.
Yes.
With the host, Simone Johnson. I don't know where I'm going to get to Simone Robinson from, but she's going to kill me. And we're normally online every Sunday evening and Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. And we do have something coming up, which I am sure that most of the ladies are going to find interesting. Guys, we got you, but not for this round. So next week, Friday, the date is November the 19th at 10 p.m. We're going to be hosting a midnight talk. Well, 10 o'clock we're going to start. And we're going to be talking mainly things about us females and sex. So
you had to try to skip past it.
So you know how I get, but I'm just putting this out there. There's more information to come, but please join us on Sunday night. If you can't make it Sunday, on Wednesday, and you'll get more information. Thank you so much. I yield the mic.
Thank you so much, Lisa. You know it's always a pleasure to have you up here, woman of God. I'm really grateful for you being a part. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to my brother, my friend. We go way back. We got a very long history in being connected, and so I want to honor him for being in the room tonight. Apostle Prophet Dwayne Britt, feel free to introduce yourself to the room and tell us about either your business or your vision or your ministry that you're putting legs to.
Good evening, everyone. Apostle Prophet Dwayne Britt here. It's a pleasure to be here with my brother and to see him pioneering in a space of business and marketplace ministry and causing people to be activated and helping people to get legs to their vision so that they can accomplish and to fulfill their divine purposes. I am the overseer and the leader of Legacy Life Discipleship Group, Legacy Life, the movement. It is how can I say this? Legacy Life is basically a place and an environment where people can come for spiritual formation and a myriad of other things. I am also a coach, Thrive Coaching. I am a consultant, and in conjunction with my Thrive brand. I am a real estate investor with Brick Capital. It's my real estate company, and I am currently forming a school by the name of Empower University. And so we have a lot of things going on over here. So tap in, follow me, and I'm excited about what we're going to discuss tonight.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Thank you so much for contributing to the conversation and introducing yourself. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to his spiritual son, my spiritual nephew, Prophet Jaquan. Feel free to introduce yourself, and same thing, tell us about your ministry or your business that you're putting legs to.
Exceeding great things. I am so excited to be here. Thank you to my uncle, Apostle Aaron. I appreciate the opportunity to even be on your stage and be on your platform. I appreciate it so much. Right now, currently, I'm putting legs to my first conference that God has really given me, which is called the HURT Conference, Healing Unresolved Resentment and Trauma. And so God has given me this idea. So I'm our podcast called Do Rags, and you can check it out on every listening and streaming platform that's there. And we talk about everything from church to everything in the world. And I focus and really have a concentration about mental health and dispelling the taboos about mental health and not really receiving the help that we need. And so I talk about all things with that. So check me out on any platform, Do Rags and Dollies. And in April, you'll hear more from me about the HURT Conference that will be in Houston, Texas. And I look forward to what we're talking about tonight.
Good stuff. Congratulations on your first conference. Trust me, I understand that process, and I'll be praying with you as you endure it, sir. But I'm going to be praying with you that it is of a great success, that the glory of God is there, and that you fulfill everything that God has intended for you to do through this conference. Amen. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to go head over to my other newfound friend, Miss Desha, and I know I probably keep saying her last name wrong. It's either Desha or Deshay, but I know she's going to get me together with it. But but thank you so much for always coming on and being a part. Feel free again to introduce yourself and to tell us about your business or your ministry that you're putting legs to.
Hi, everybody. My name is Abisha Deshay.
I got it right the first time. Hallelujah.
It's Abisha Deshay. I told you Deshay is my middle name because I want God to give me a last name. You know,
I know that's right.
That's the prophetic act right there. So, I'm a brand manager, the owner of the Abisha Deshay Branding Agency, and I'm also a style consultant. And of course, a style consultant and event coordinator and planner. The venture that I'm putting forth is actually having my own style suite and wholesale warehouse, because right now my warehouse is overseas and I'm trying to bring it to Atlanta, where I'm born and raised. So that's my goal, and that's the things that I'm currently working on. I'm so excited about tonight's conversation, and I'm happy about connecting with everybody. So I'm ready to get into it.
Good stuff. Absolutely. She's been coming on with me for a little bit of time now, and I've met her in another room, and it's an honor to be connected with her. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Miss Patrice. Thank you so much for coming on again. You know, it's always an honor to have you in the room. Again, introduce yourself to the room and tell us about your ministry or your business that you're putting legs to.
Thank you, Apostle Aaron, and greetings, everyone. I'm joining you all from West Africa. My name is Patrice. It's way past my bedtime, but I'm always so excited to join this conversation. I am a communications and international affairs professional. I'm an award-winning poet, an author, and my work focuses on girls' education, social and emotional learning, youth development, and women's leadership. Currently, I am pioneering and putting legs to a vision that was birthed in 2015. It's called Sexy Like a Book. And it is an initiative that encourages girls and motivates them to improve their perspective on literacy and education. So what we do at Sexy Like a Book is that we take on a social and academic approach to address some of the barriers to girls' education in Liberia, West Africa, and across the African continent. So I'm happy to be here tonight. If you would like to learn more about our work and how we can collaborate, because I'm very big on collaboration, feel free to get in touch. Excited about a great conversation tonight. Thank you all.
Indeed. And she's very right. It is like 2:00 in the morning where she is, and she does come on, and I would greatly appreciate her supporting this channel and supporting this ministry efforts and what we're talking about and putting legs to in that regard. So thank you so much, my friend, for coming on. I'm going to jump down to Sean. Thank you for coming up. Again, introduce yourself to the room and tell us about your ministry or your business that you're putting legs to.
Yes, greetings to you, man of God. Greetings to everyone in the room. My name's Sean Gresham. I'm an actor, singer, author. I'm putting legs to expanding my acting career to television and film, as well as voiceover. Also, God is continuing to a nonprofit organization for the homeless. I don't know how that's going to come about, but I'm continuing to seek him on how to birth it out or whatever. I'm Sean Gresham, and I release my mic.
Thank you, Sean. It's always an honor for you coming on. Great actor, great purpose connected for you, and I'm so glad that you come on and you support and contribute to the conversations as well. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Miss Cindy. Thank you for coming up. I think I might have seen you on a couple of times before, but feel free to introduce yourself and tell us about your ministry or your business that you're putting legs to. Miss Cindy, can you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got the red bar, so I guess I got my mic went out. So I was asking about Miss Cindy. Can you hear me? I was giving you an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us about your business or ministries that you're putting legs to.
Oh yes, hi, I'm Cindy. I'm actually praying to God that He can shift me from the beat up old Toyota to wanting a Ferrari. And I need a vision. I need a vision to get rid of like attracting these crazy narcissists, right? To like the man of God, the businessman of God. So I'm working on it on every area of my life. I need the next level. I need that bigger vision. So I think, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And I do have a lot of things I want to do, and it applies to all areas. I'm just trying to level up.
I understand.
I got my magazines to try to get my vision board up. I've written it down. I've prayed. I've done the Jericho walk, but it's like I don't know what I got to do. So today I went back to like the old like vision board strategy, like put it for your. But I need the Lord to give me like a bigger vision because I've just been settling. I've just been it's been no good. So I need a lot of help.
Good. Well, see, this is what I'm talking about. Transparency and honesty is what this room is about. This is a safe space, and I want you to feel comfortable to be able to tell your truth, because that's the only way to answers and be able to get assistance or get free from the things that you need assistance with. And that's what this room is about. Is really about. I know we have the prophetic, we have all that, but this room not only just has that element as well. It's always going to be a factor. However, what we're given is word of wisdom. We're going to give you some wisdom tools on how to apply these things naturally to your life, not just being in the heavenly realm. So I'm glad you came on and you're in the right room tonight, especially for what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's really going to help you and be a blessing to you. So thank you for coming on, Cindy. You are in the right place. I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to Ms. Mask. I know you were talking just a moment ago because I knew you didn't hear me. So feel free to introduce yourself and tell us about your ministry or business that you're putting legs to.
So thank you for inviting me on your stage. Good evening, everybody. My name is Siobhan, and I am the relationship strategist. So I empower Christian couples in committed relationships to strengthen their partnership and eliminate unhealthy behaviors through effective communication. I own a coaching and consulting business, and that's what I'm putting legs to. And Christian couples that work with me, they walk away with a vision for where they want the relationship to go and the tools to make it happen. And I help them create a highly strategic yet customized roadmap for the client. And I have a core signature system that I use to do that. And that's what I'm continuing to put legs on.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing and being a part. For those of you that are in the listening lounge, I see my brother Donald that has been on with us as well. Anybody else that wants to be a part, feel free to raise your hand. This is a dialogue conversation. This is not just about me talking, but it's about us engaging and being a part of this conversation. For those of you, just to reset the room, for those of you that are on YouTube and on Twitter and on Facebook, you are welcome to join us here in the house. Come on in the house where the feast of the Lord is. Where the table is about to be spread, and we're about to feast on some things tonight. So you are welcome to join the conversation here on Clubhouse. Just look at the link in the description and feel free to create a profile and join us on Clubhouse. But if you're not interested in being a part of the Clubhouse conversation, you are welcome to post your comments and post it here on the message board, and I will engage your comments as you are a part of the room. Also, you will see, if it's not on the message board, in the comments, you can see it scrolling on the bar on the bottom of your screen of the instructions and the page to come to be a part of this conversation. Again, we are talking about putting legs to your vision. We are in our 8th installment of this series, and wonderful thing for those of us on Clubhouse, we just got an update recently, so you can go back and listen to the replay. So if you don't know how that works, is if you don't want to go back to watching it, looking at it on YouTube, you can go back and but first you have to update your Clubhouse app. You have to have the newest updated version of the Clubhouse app. And once you go to my page, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you will see all of the you will see this live on here today, because this is the first replay audio that will be available for replay at any other rooms that I had been in, but this you can at least go back and see the replay here on Clubhouse. Also, for those of you who are on Clubhouse, if you look above, you will see the link to the YouTube channel there. So since they gave us the ability to be able to post links, you can click directly on that link later afterwards and begin to follow that channel, and you can see all the original replays. So let's go ahead and get into this discussion. Let's do a quick recap. What we've been talking about, again, is putting legs to your vision, and we've been going over a lot of the basic fundamentals of things to get started in putting legs to your vision. A lot of it sounds like it's very, simple. It sounds very, for some people, it sounds very juvenile, but when you think about it, some things is not as difficult as what you think it is. And so when I break it down from the perspective, almost how Jesus did with the parables, is going to give you some good basic elements of what to apply to your life. And just like when you go to dinner, you're going to eat the meat and discard the bone. You use what is going to apply to your life and your situation and for your business and for what you're trying to build. And so Also, I want to acknowledge the fact that I also deal in consulting as well. Legacy Brand Consulting is my consulting firm. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about here is tidbits of what I share in my firm. But of course, it's more of a one-on-one interaction with you about what your individual vision is, what your product, what your service is, or your ministry, so we can help you put legs to that or expand it, grow it, or even bring an exit strategy to that. And so if you are interested in that, feel free to just look at the details in the description. Also, I don't want to miss the fact that if anybody wants to sow into the ministry or into this word or this room tonight, feel free to go on my profile, and you will see the Cash App link there. And if you want to sow via PayPal, just back channel me, and I'll get you the information for that. But I just want to put that out there for those that are sowing. We're going to come back to that later because there's been some people that has been blessed because of that, and there's a strategy to what I'm doing with the seed. So just be on the lookout on that. Don't be turned off about that, because I'm not a person about getting your money, but it's a principle behind it, and we're going to discuss that later. So let's kind of recap of the things that we talked about so that I can bring some of you newbies up to speed that are new to the room. We, again, are talking about putting legs to your vision. And what we did first is we assess what is vision, what is your vision? And we started to go over what that is. That could consist of an idea, a dream, a goal, a prophetic word. It could also be linked to your gifts, your talents, and your abilities. And what the first instructions that I gave was to get you a notepad or open up a Word document and put the names of your, put the title of your vision at the header of every page. Leave nothing else but just the header of every page. And once you've written down as many as you can, go back to the first one and close your eyes and visualize what that vision is. And begin to use your imagination. If it's a business, begin to look at the structure, look at the building, walk the rooms, look at the paint, look at the furnitures, look at all that, and write down everything you see. Type it out, everything that you see. And I know that sounds simple because you're using your imagination, but in essence of what you're doing is you're writing the vision and making it plain. Now, what I said in the first installment of this, it doesn't mean that that's going to be the solidified vision. That's just getting your momentum going. So write down what it is that you see. And that was the first phase, and we discussed that. Then the second installment of this series, we began to start researching some of the things that's required for that vision. Starting to do the research. How did you feel when you were doing that research? Did you feel like you were getting into like a wormhole effect, that you was finding one thing that would connect to another thing, that would connect to another thing as you're researching and you're writing things down? Now, this is the beginning process of you putting legs to your vision, but you're not putting legs to it yet. You're getting an understanding of what the vision is and getting the idea before you can put legs to it. But then on the third installment, we talked about vision killers. What is vision killers? And we broke down and we prayed against. And what we do every session is we pray against vision killers. Those can consist of being lazy, procrastination, lack of funds, whatever, a laundry list. And what I also gave as an instruction was write down what is a vision killer for you and begin to write those things down and speak that I come out of agreement with these things that are vision killers. And on the right side of that, I want you to write down what is the opposing to that and say, I come in agreement with, or I decree and declare that is, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to obtain this. And so that was what we talked about on day 3. Then on day 4, we talked about sizing up your Goliath. What is your Goliath? What is that thing that seems to be the largest part of your vision or the largest goal that you need to obtain? What is that thing? And begin to size it up, because you might think it's a giant, but it might be able to come down with one smooth stone. And what do I mean by that? Size it up. Size up your opponent. What is that big thing? For an example, we had a young lady that's on that wants to establish a fashion brand, and so we assessed that having a manufacturing plant here in the Americas or in the States to be able to produce that. That is the Goliath. That is the large vision. That is a large objective. But how do we conquer it? How do we take it down? How do we acquire it? And so you size it up. You look at what is required to make this thing happen. What's the money? What's the staff? What's the equipment? What's the resources? What's the raw materials? And begin to assess this thing out. And so once you assess the larger thing, you're able to go back to the smaller thing, the beginning, and begin to plan out your whole objective towards your vision, towards that big goal. So you're starting to do a small planning to different visions or goals or objectives to get to this larger objective. So we talked about sizing up your Goliath and begin to use that as your focus point and building your vision, building an understanding of your vision. And that might be your first Goliath. That might not be the Goliath. That might be just the first one, the largest thing in your first phase of your vision. And then the next thing that we talked about after we talked about sizing up your Goliath is we talked about creating an overview. It's literally now creating a blueprint, a plan of action of what it is that your vision is, an overview. What is the cost? What is it going to take for you to start? What connections you need to have? Do you need an investor? Can you start it with little money? And begin to write these things out and begin to write your goals and your plans and what is it that you're doing in that overview and how you're going to see yourself being between year 1 to year 3, year 3 to year 5, year 10, and so on and so forth. And begin to assess that. And what you are initially doing is the starting process of developing a business plan. Now, you might not be gifted in developing a business plan, but because you already assessed the overview of what it is that you're trying to build or assess, and keep this in mind, this does not only apply to business, this applies to ministry, this applies to a product, artistry, it does not matter. All these things that we're sharing applies to every facet. So keep that in mind. And so once you establish an overview, that's in essence a blueprint, that's an outline, that's an objective. So when you do connect to somebody that does know how to write a business plan for you, they're able to work off of your overview, what your vision is, and you're able to give clarity because they can run with it. That's what the scripture says, that they can read and run. This is the part that's the significance to them being able to run, because they need to know what your vision is. If it's stuck in your head and you have not written it down, it can change at will. So this is one of the things that we talked about in one of the installments. The last session, the last 2 sessions, we talked about taking the leap. Taking a risk, go after it, start making moves into it. It doesn't matter if you're doing baby steps. It doesn't matter if you're moving at a snail pace. Even snail has momentum. Even a sloth has momentum. But when you're standing still and you're not making moves, then that's what causes things to not function and to flourish. You need to give God something to enlarge and to expand. So now start making moves. Start going out and doing some research. Start finding a mentor. Maybe you might need to go back to school and pick up a class or get into a certificate program or get a part of a mentorship program or connect to something that you might have to pay for and invest into your future. Take the leap. And I put up an image of somebody jumping out of a plane, and it said, take the leap and see where you end up. It's a risk. Doing business, doing ministry, doing anything outside of your comfort zone is always going to be a leap of faith. And so we talked about taking that leap, taking that risk, begin to go after it and make moves into it. Then the last session that we did, which was last Friday, we talked about study to be silent and to be wise of the people that you connect to. There are people, not only is there vision killers within you, but there are also individuals that are vision killers, that are leeches, that are trying to suck off of you, trying to gain access to you, trying to steal your idea, trying to steal your purpose. But here's an interesting thing about when you are creative and you have a creative genius and a creative mind, nobody can ever be a duplicate of you. They can only try to be a carbon copy of you. You know what that means. Well, you know, you've seen carbon. Most of us are over a certain age that we've used carbon paper back in the day to be getting when you write on your top layer and it has your pen and your pencil writing in it. But that carbon copy is never as authentic as the main layer. It doesn't look as clear. It doesn't look as smooth. It doesn't look as polished because it's a carbon copy. So just keep that in mind that nobody can never be you. However, you still have to be cautious and mindful of your vision. So before you get to sharing not just expensive ideas to small-minded people, you want to cover, guard, and protect Shamar over your vision, over your purpose, over your destiny. Cover it, protect it. I talked about how we could be as believers, we could be so gullible, we could be so religious that we think, oh, nobody's never gonna hurt us, and God's not gonna leave me ignorant to Satan's devices, and if they're a believer, they're going to make sure, God's going to make sure that they're going to be a honorable person. I beg to differ. This is a dog eat dog, shark eat shark world. And I know plenty of people that mask themselves as being believers when they're actually out here as wolf in sheep's clothing. So you have to be cautious and you have to be mindful of the people that you connect to, people that you share your expensive ideas with small-minded people. You're an eagle. Stop sharing your ideas with chickens. All they do is cluck, cluck, and all day long. That's all they do. And you have to make sure that God is leading you to the people that you are meant to connect to, that is going to bring value and accessibility to your future. I'm going to tell you, I didn't share this in the last class, but I'm going to share this before we move on. And I do want to give people that was in the room, because I gave a homework assignment. Yes, this room does have homework assignments. And if you didn't do it, that's fine. There's no problem. Come back with it next week in that regard. There's no grade or anything like that, a certificate that you're getting from this. But this is about you doing the work within yourself. This is the whole point about putting legs to your vision, right? It's work. And so I have lately have been asking people that is connected to me. I asked them this question: what is it that I bring value to your life? And what is your expectation of me bringing value to your life? And then I want you to reverse that response back. How do you bring value to my life? And ask me, what is my expectation of you bringing value to my life? And when you begin to ask those questions, and you begin to assess the people that's connected to your life, you're going to find out that there's a lot of people that don't bring value to your life. You're going to find out that a lot of people does not have the ability to push you or to thrust you into your destiny or to bring be an asset to your purpose. A lot of them are trying to be leeches. A lot of them are trying to suck off. They're trying to gain access to what you have access to. They're doing because they have their own personal and individual agenda. So you have to be careful. So that's why we talked about last week, study to be silent. Research what a non-disclosure agreement is, or a what was the other agreement that we talked about, Ms. Deshay? I forgot what the confidentiality agreement. That's what it was. Confidentiality agreement and a non-disclosure agreement. Study out what those are, research them, and make sure that what you are writing is going to guard and protect you, is going to cover you, that nobody has the ability to steal and to replicate or to do anything in likeness to your vision. So you want to cover that. This is your baby. And I gave this as an example before we move on. I gave this as an example. There's people that get pregnant and they don't tell anybody that they're pregnant until they're in their last few trimesters, because they don't want people, all touching on their belly. They don't want people, all in their face. And then even after baby is born, no, don't be touching on my child's face. No, you can't hold it because we got COVID going on. No, we got common colds. We got sickness. I don't want, you got dirt underneath your nails. No, I have to protect my baby. Your vision is your baby. This is your child. You are pregnant with it if you have not brought it into manifestation yet. It is in your womb. And you have to guard it and you have to protect it. You don't want nothing to cause it to become out stillborn, to come out Ichabod, to come out with a birth defect. You don't want it to have its cord wrapped around its neck. You don't want it to have lack of oxygen to the brain. You want to make sure that you're feeding it the right nutrients that it needs to grow within your body. And you want to guard and you want to protect it. So that's why we were talking about last week to study to be silent. Stop sharing your large ideas with small-minded people. Small-minded people can't fathom the understanding of vision because they're not doing it themselves. So stop trying to seek validation from people and know that God is the only validation that you need. God will only send people that is going to bring asset to your life that understand where you're going. So stop seeking for validation from people that do not understand vision. And then also ask the Lord to connect you with the right people. Allow your natural discernment and your spiritual discernment. Natural discernment is, like I said last week, I'm from the west side of Chicago. And anytime I'm in my home city, I keep my head on a swivel because anything will pop off at any moment. Anybody that's from the hood, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So you have to have natural discernment. You have to have discerning of spirits. What is that? Discerning the spirit behind the nature of an individual. What is their objective? What are they on? They talking good, but what do you have proven methods? You know, what is your history behind it? Discern them in the spirit as well as in the natural. And guard and protect your vision. And God is going to bring your gift because you're already working it. You're putting legs to it. It's going to bring you before kings. It's going to open doors for you that no man can shut. It's going to give you an audience. It's going to bring you connection, but you have to do the work, is what we've been talking about, to bring you to this place of putting legs to your vision. So anybody that was a part of the discussion last week that did the homework was about cutting people off. We were in the pruning and the weeding season of our life. And shutting yourself away from people, whether you just have to be silent for a season period, or God is cutting individuals out of your life in that regard. That was one assignment. Was how did that feel in your process? Did that happen with you through this process over the last week? And then the other assignment was about about pitfalls and stumbling blocks as you are putting legs to your vision. I said that while you're running this race, it's not always going to be smooth. It's not always going to be you gonna gun it and you gonna hit it. You're gonna have moments where your shoelace gonna come untied. You're gonna have moments where your shoe is gonna come off. You're gonna have moments when you're gonna hit a snare and a trap, and you're gonna find yourself falling into a ditch because you're running, because you're so in focus that you didn't even see what was ahead. We're going to talk about that, and we want to talk about what you did in that process. So the first assignment was, again, about the pruning and weeding and cutting off people and silencing yourself as you're putting legs to your vision. And what was your process, and how did that feel while God was taking you through this silent process? And the other assignment was about the pitfalls, and which we're going to talk about tonight, how that is, and how you're handling that in that process. So we're going to do popcorn style. Nobody in particular, what have you, anybody want to share that was a part of that discussion last week? You don't have to be just everybody at once. Not anybody.
Okay, I can actually go, Ace. So it was actually for me putting up, setting boundaries and enforcing it. So, which is also a part of you cutting off people who are toxic to your life, who they drain you, they don't really bring any value to you. And it was a very hard process. It was someone that is actually very close to me. Before now, I would sit down and I would take it. I would be like, okay, I would just sit down, I would listen to them, and I would just absorb their energy. I just absorb everything, whether it's negative or whatever. And it was mostly negative for most of my life. And this person showed up to my house unannounced this week, and they came in and I was able to really set my boundaries and enforce it. And for the first time, I did not feel guilty at all about doing that. And I was able to speak my mind very clearly, so that they heard whether they wanted to accept it or not. I really, put that back on them. But it felt good. It felt empowering when I was done and I was able to say my piece. I felt empowered. I actually really felt empowered, and it felt good to set that boundary with that person and knowing that, at the end of the day, I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my peace, for my sanity, and also to help me get to my next stage and get to where I want to be. So I did take that into consideration, and it's something that I have been practicing more and more often. I think I won't really say the role that this person has in my life, but it is a very big and significant role. And the fact that I was able to put my foot down and not accept what they were dishing out, it felt absolutely great. And I would do it again. And with that, I rest my mic.
Wow. That's amazing. Sometimes we don't realize, and I gave this as an example about pruning and weeding before we jump to the next person. And I said that when God is pruning and weeding you, it might be some people that are good branches. They are literally growing. They're healthy. They're vibrant. They have great leaves. They have, they're budding. Everything is great. But because they carry weight, they're pulling you away from the sunlight, Him, Father. And they're pulling you away from that because they are great. They are purpose-filled, but they might not be the person that's meant for you in this season. And so what God would do is, anybody that has a green thumb, He'll cut that branch on an angle so that it does not have the ability to regerminate or grow back, and He'll replant it into another pot so it can continue to grow and to flourish, so it can be its true authentic self. So that doesn't mean that there had to be necessarily a total disconnection, that there had, or maybe it might be a total disconnection because they might not be meant for the next level in your purpose. However, pruning and weeding is meant for the benefit of the tree. It's for the benefit of the tree. It pulls the dead leaves off. It pulls the dead limbs off because they're holding dead weight, dead relationships that don't hold no value or what have you. It's to get you to get back into position the way God intended, so that you can continue to grow and flourish. And I I gave an example about when that limb or that relationship is cut off, you begin to feel lighter and you're able to adjust. I gave an example about an episode on Grey's Anatomy that I saw about this baby that had this massive tumor on the heart, and this heart surgeon was removing the tumor, but the baby had flatlined. It went into VFib, and they was like, okay, we're gonna have to get the what do you call it? The transplant, the heart transplant, the donor heart, so that they can transplant this new heart. And it was like, no, wait. And she kept saying, wait, because the baby had to adjust to the heartbeat normally, but beating normally without that massive mass on its heart. And so sometimes that's how it is that we function. We when God is doing a pruning and weeding in our lives, we don't know how to function and operate without those limbs and those individuals weighing us down. That it's like it's abnormal to us because we've gotten accustomed to the weight. We've gotten accustomed to the dead relationships, and when God has to do the pruning and weeding, it's a whole adjustment period. Like, how am I going to function? I'm used to talking to this person like every day. I'm used to doing this, and I'm used to hearing their feedback, and I'm used to this and that and the third. But God is like, no, this is for your benefit. And we don't realize that God will do the pruning and weeding that is for your benefit. It's and it's also for the other person's benefit as well, because they've been repotted so they can grow and flourish as well. So it's a benefit on both sides, even with the pruning and weeding. So thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else that was a part of last week? I want to allow these people to go first, and then I'm going to open this up as a discussion to anybody else that has also experienced this. So anybody else that was in the discussion last week that did that homework assignment and that would like to contribute?
Yeah, I could contribute to this because I was in there. I approached it differently. A lot of times, just from my experience, when we talk about cutting people off, a lot of people think about what other people have done to them or people that have become leeches and stuff, and that's true. But the thing about me is because I cut people off a long time ago. I mean, just a few months ago, I got a whole new Facebook page. I don't communicate with other people, so that was not the issue. My issue, what I told God was, God, reveal things, patterns, and behaviors about myself that allows the people who I'm supposed to cut off to gravitate to me. Because if I can attack those behaviors and change those behaviors about myself, everything else will fall off.
Yes.
And so instead of me having to have a conversation or having to cut people off, people that end up saying things like, Misha changed, and so, we don't really hang out like that anymore. I'm able to sever ties without necessarily have to just cut people off, because when they realize that I have changed, I tell people this all the time. If you think you know me now, then you don't. You knew me yesterday. I'm a new person every day. Yeah. Because every day when I wake up, God gives me the ability to elevate, to change behaviors, and to do things differently. So I'm a different person every day. And if you're not being a different person every day, then that means that you're not growing. So I had to just go back and start thinking about behaviors and cycles and stuff in my life that makes people comfortable enough to leech off me or to get certain things from me. So once I start tackling that, a lot of times we feel like people being leeches is because we're giving without boundaries. Just like Ms. Lisa said, okay, set boundaries. Once you set a boundary, the people who know they can't leech and get what they need to get from you, they'll fall off. And there's gonna be some people that want to hang on, because some people really know what you got, and they know that if they hang on, your heart is gonna pull them up too. You know what I'm saying? Those type of people, you kind of say, look, I do want to help you. I do want to pull you up. However, I got to get up first. We can't get up together because we're gonna keep pulling each other down. So let me get up first, and I will get up first. But in the meantime, while I'm picking myself up, I need you to be working on yourself as well. So, just the way about doing things, that's how I did things as far as cutting people off. Now, if you did something to me or you hurt me, I'm the type of person that cut you off anyway.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just no hesitation. My sister, that's because you're a Leo. I have no idea about that, but I will cut you off real quick. Because if you're in the middle, if you're in the middle of something that, I'm the type of person that if I tell you something hurts me and you say, okay, and then you turn around and do it again, you didn't care enough. So there's no need for us to continue this relationship. So, that's kind of what I did. I always ask God to reveal things in me, because a lot of times when people go to cut people off, they feel like a victim. They go into victim mode. And I, by any means, not a victim. So I'm not going to approach it from a victim standpoint. I'm going to approach it at, Misha, what part did you play in this situation? Yeah. And then go the other right. And that's what I do.
My God, I'm done. I 10,000% agree.
Yes.
Say that again, Patrice.
No, I wasn't saying anything. I was just clapping.
I'm telling you that is also an important element that you need to take into consideration. Consider yourself. What is it about you that's allowing these people to do what it is that they're doing to you? It's like being in a battered relationship and you leave one and you end up in another one. It's because there is obviously something within you that is still attracting these like-minded people. And I 10,000% agree. And so she said something that was really important, because I say that too. People say, well, Aaron or Ace, you changed. I have, and I'm going to continue to change every day. But the thing that I look at is the revelation that I got with that what she said is about finding when you change, it's going to cause people to fall off of you. That means stay oily. If you stay oily, if you stay on focus, if you stay a part of your purpose, if you're staying in the presence of God, then because you're staying oily, and there's no easy grip to that. They're gonna be slipping off of you automatically, and those relationships will automatically fail and change. And sometimes you don't even have to do the cutting; it'll happen naturally. So I 10,000% agree. Absolutely, absolutely. Before we go on, I want to acknowledge my dearest friend that has come on in the room. You know, I got to gas you up, woman of God. Apostle Fertile is in the room. Thank you so much. Please introduce yourself to the room and tell us about your ministry and your visions that you're putting legs to.
Good evening, Apostle. Oh my God, you are amazing. Welcome, everybody. I want to bless everyone. Lisa, everybody that's on here, good evening, blessing. So if I sound a little tired, please forgive me. I just got home from work at 11-hour shift. I have a Woman of Many Hat ministry the Lord blessed me with. What we do, some of the things that we do, we actually feed the homeless. We serve the homeless. So I do have a site in Philadelphia right now that I'm working in, and we just fed 150 people today.
Amen.
To God be the glory. So I am so tired. That's why I sound like this. But please forgive me. I do have energy. It's just in my head. It's just my body just not reacting to what's going on in my head. One of the things that we do, it just happened this week, and Apostle know about it. I actually called him when it happened.
Yeah.
We have our own TV show coming out in December. Oh my God. God is awesome. We're going to be on the Word Network starting December 29th of 2021. God is awesome, where we get to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. So for half an hour every morning on Wednesdays at 6:30, starting December 29th, we will be on the Word Network sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. With a little twist to it, not just preaching, but we're going to have like a round table kind of thing. I thank God for that. And also we serve the homeless in Philadelphia for now, and also in Haiti. So for now, and the goal is to go just like Salvation Army, have a site everywhere for everyone to do. And then the book, Apostle, I still need you to publish this book. I finished writing it, so you got to help me publish it. It's a book that's called Prayer, Blueprint of Prayer, teaching people about prayer, the importance of prayer. So that are some of the things that we do. And I thank God. But I came in when the woman of God was talking about cutting people off. Woman of God, let me tell you, I am 100% behind you with this cutting people off. We need to understand if somebody's not adding it, all they're doing is subtracting and never add to your life. You have to let them go, and you cannot hold yourself hostage. Look at it this way, right? I'm going to be real quick with this. You have I bank with Bank of America. I could go to any ATM to do my withdrawal, right? But I can't withdraw from the ATM if I don't have a Bank of America card, right? If they don't accept Bank of America, I can't withdraw. In order for me to withdraw from Citibank, they're gonna charge me a fee for withdrawal for Bank of America because I'm using the Citibank ATM machine, right?
Yes.
So let's say I go to Bank of America with a Citibank card and I want to deposit, but I cannot deposit there because I don't have an account there. We need to understand, we got to stop allowing people come in and withdraw from us and never deposit anything. And we don't even charge them anything for withdrawing. We need to build a thing that's called boundaries. Boundary is not a curse word. It is a blessing word. Once we have boundaries, we are protecting ourselves. It's like a glove. You are protecting yourself from any affection that person may have because they couldn't leave anything behind. So I want to encourage everyone on here to build this thing called boundaries and stop letting people come and withdraw without permission and just taking away from you. And then when they leave you crying and like, God, how did I do this? Stop crying. Build this thing called boundaries. It's okay to have boundaries. It's not a curse word. Just like submission is not a curse word. Boundary is not a curse word. Build that boundaries. And woman of God, Amisha, I think that's your name. I think you were the one that was talking. Thank you. I came exactly at the right time to hear that. I needed to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. Apostle, I love you. And I thank God for what you're doing. And I'm praying for every single one of you. So I'm going to mute my mic unless you ask me to speak, because I could go on. I'm going to mute my
mic. You're welcome anytime, Apostle, anytime. You know how we do our rooms. Look. But thank you so much, Apostle, for sharing that. And see, this is a testament to the fact of putting legs to your vision. People don't know that me and her have had conversations about some things in regards to that. And so, and whatever I could help or contribute to that, to be of an aid to her, and that, that's a lot of the things that we're talking about in that regard. And just to see how God is doing some quick work in her life, it is amazing. And so that's just a testament to putting legs to your vision. Don't allow time to get the better of you. Go after it now. But we're going to go back to the topic of the conversation we're talking about. We were talking about the pruning and weeding phase and cutting people off, and then also the pitfalls and the journey of stumbling when you're along your journey. And I wanted you to kind of share in those two perspectives. So now we had the people that were a part of the conversation before from last week. You are definitely welcome to contribute. Anybody else want to jump in and share about these two topics? Anybody? Not all at once. So let me use myself then. I'm going to use myself. I recently had to go into silent mode, but people that know me know that they're used to me doing this. This is something that I do probably like once or twice a year. I go into complete silent mode. I'm not in a lot of conversations with people. If they see me, they'll see me ministering, and that's about it. But when I'm in silent mode, it's because I'm silencing the noise around me. I'm silencing people's opinions around me. Sometimes I'm even silencing people's prophetic words because I want to hear specifically from God. And so sometimes you have to have those moments when you have to go silent so that you can focus on the objectives and the agendas that God has for you. The thoughts and the plans that he has for you as a peace and not of evil, to bring you to an expected end. But God is not only gives the vision, which is the final destination, but he's also the GPS system. He's the one to lead you and guide you in all truths. He's the one to lead you because he's already made the path straight. He already has gone before you because he knows the end before the beginning. So because he knows all these things, or what have you, and we keep talking about there's nothing new under the sun. It's new to us. But it's nothing new under the sun because God has already established it before the foundation of the earth. That's why it's not new, because it was already established through the heavenlies, through God, in an eternal realm into the earthly realm, and it's already been done. And so we are literally walking it out day by day by day. But then also because we come up from an eternal place, we begin to lock into the thing that was already created in the eternal realm, and we begin to get clarity and understanding every day that we go. Be careful. Don't start, Apostle Prophet. Don't start. So
you're going there, though. I agree. You're going there.
Indeed. So that's how we are beginning to learn how to access what has already been established, because we begin to move into it. Now, here's the thing, and I'm not going to deviate from the conversation because we're still going to go back into this. But once I had to realize that the gift and the vision and the purpose was bigger than me, then I had to be very cautious about how I move and how I operate. Because when you look at, and I said this even last week and a couple of weeks before, when you look at Steve Jobs, when he created Apple out of his garage with 5 people out of his garage, and now he's deceased and gone, God rest his soul, rest in power, rest in heaven, whatever you want to say. But his legacy still lives here. But in order for that to happen, there is a process and a journey. And so sometimes you can't go sharing your ideas with people that work for IBM or for any other PC brand, because they will still take your idea. And then sometimes when I say about being silent, sometimes we want to have validation of men more than the validation of God. We've allowed people to supersede the voice of God in our life because we want to hear from the prophet. When you want to hear from the apostle, we want to hear from, we want to go to the soothsayer. We want to go see psychics. We want to get crystals and candles and all this stuff to find the answer when God is the source. when God is the answer. And when you begin to silence the noise around you, and you begin to silence people's opinions. See, when people's opinions get involved in what it is that you're doing, it shifts the focus of what God intended for it. That maybe God might not want it to be for the nations yet. Maybe it might be local. But you have to move in the capacity of what God wants you to be in, and to understand that these things can build and level. So understand, what is it meant for you now? What is God saying for you now? Yes, he will show you the end goal, but what is God saying for you now? And so sometimes you have to silence the voices. You have to stop allowing, because we want to get validation, we want to get approval, we want to get people to stand in agreement with us, but it's more powerful when you have God that's before you, because he's more than the world against you. And I talked about this on Facebook. Who cares? And I said, who cares? Because people is going to have an opinion and say whatever they want to say about already. You're not anointed. You ain't been laid hands on by me. You ain't been appointed. You ain't got this knowledge and this wisdom from me and all that. That's going to come. But what does God say about you? And when you silence the noise, and you silence the voices, and you hear the voice of the Lord, God can begin to give you instruction and give you clarity and give you pieces to the puzzle. Because you're in his presence, because you're inclining your ear to his heartbeat, to hear what it is that he's what he is saying concerning you in the vision. And when you do that, then when others come along, you can hear the voice of God through them and not hear their opinion. There's a difference, because sometimes we can be so gullible, and because people say they're prophets, apostles, and all that, that people can literally say what their opinion is and not what God is saying. And you're able to discern and to decipher. Yeah, that's God, because God said the exact same thing, and he's been dealing with me. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be a confirmation. And I'm going to kill that, because some people think, well, in order for God to speak, it's going to be a confirmation. No, because God sometimes, at times, and he does it even through me, and Apostle Prophet Dwayne can attest to this as well, that God can give you another piece of the puzzle that wasn't revealed by way of the Spirit with you being in the presence of God. However, by you being in the presence of God, and the sheep know his voice, and a stranger, you know the rest. So you will be able to discern that you will be able to discern and connect to the voice of God that's speaking through the individual that's connecting to your destiny. And so when you silence the voices, it's drawing your relationship closer to God and not man. It's causing your faith to be stirred. It's causing you to be in line with God concerning what it is that he's saying for your life. And so this is one of the things that I'm saying, even within myself, that I do annually, because it's something that I need to do. Because sometimes you got so many other voices in your head that's talking, that you're trying to filter through the noise to try to hear God's voice. And so sometimes you have to silence. Sometimes you have to cut away. Sometimes you have to examine yourself and to see what is the reason why people of this like-minded mentality keeps latching on to me, finding out and going through this process so that you can grow into what it is that God is destined for you. Because I guarantee you, when you get to your fullest potential, you're going to need to hear God's voice. You're going to need to hear him stronger than where you are now, because you got a lot more weight and clout that you got to deal with in natural and in the spirit, that you need to hear God's voice for clarity. So this is the importance of that. This is the importance of why it's sometimes you have to have moments that you have to silence the noise, and you have to get before God. You got to go up higher to hear his voice, and go up higher to hear what God is saying concerning your life. Because if you don't, you allow yourself to be led into the ditch. And then those that spoke it into your life will be the ones that say, well, you should have heard from God. You shouldn't have listened to me. You should have heard from God. And they will try to condemn you because you listened to their advice instead of God's instruction. And I'm going to yield there. Anybody else want to contribute? I know I shared something. I'm feeling somebody. I know I feel my brother being sturdy and already on mic to sell, but go ahead, Apostle Prophet Dwayne. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm going to jump right in here, because you said something. The higher you go, the more you will need to hear God's voice. Why is that important? Because when you're at a low place, you're in the crowds, you're in the multitudes, you're where everyone else is. That is a common place. That is where everyone hangs out at. But as you begin to elevate, the voices will begin to become thinner and thinner, because there will be fewer people as you elevate, because everybody can be average, but everyone can't be above average. Everyone can be ordinary, but everyone can't be extraordinary. Everyone can be natural, because that is the state that they were born in. But in order for them to be supernatural, they have to ascend. They have to go into another place. And the Lord has been birthing a revelation in me, which I'm not going to go into. But so this is why it's stirring me. But one of the other things that I want to mention is there is a danger in laboring with people while you're on the road to manifestation. And while you may be able to labor with some because they have a revelation of who you are, so they have the same amount of honor now that they're going to have when you get to where you're going. But there is a lot of cases where you're laboring with people on your way to manifestation, and you're wondering why you're toiling, and they're not becoming better because for whatever reason might be. But what it's essentially doing is costing you time.
Yeah.
But it is costing you time. And here I'm going to give you a scripture that the Lord taught me about like 4 years ago, and I've been walking this process out, and it's been taking me some time. But I've been walking it out, and the Lord has been perfecting me and maturing me in this area as the Lord is elevating me in business and ministry and different things of that nature. Ecclesiastes 9, chapter 16 through 18, it says it like this. Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. So we understand, like, when we're trying to help people, because many of us, all of us that are in this room, you are in this room because God has a plan for your life. Many of you are already operating and active in your purpose. And one of the things that purpose does is give you a burden. And what burdens do, it makes you labor with people. But one of the things, and what that does is it makes you expend of yourself the valuable things that you have learned throughout life, right? But what happens is while wisdom is better than strength, and someone can benefit from you if they just listen to you, the Bible, the next part of that says, nevertheless, a poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words will not be heard. So what happens is when people see you in a state on your way to the wealthy place, they tend not to honor and respect and put the level of deference on the weight of what you're saying in the state that you're in, because they are blinded or they are impaired in being able to realize the weight and the measure and the quality and what you paid for with your blood, sweat, and tears. My son, Prophet Jay, is in here right now. We had this discussion. We work through things on a regular basis as I'm helping him to develop and grow and so forth and so on. One of the things that I told him, I said, listen, I failed more than the people that you aspire to be like have succeeded. So, like the scriptures, listen, the scripture says, believe on me and live. And so that was a moment that I was having with my son. Listen, I might not be where the people are the TV people, the people, and my son, God has blessed him where he has been favored to have relationships with very affluent people, right, that are a lot further along in life and in achievements and all of those kinds of things. And so, when you're young and you're coming up, because I've been there, that becomes a point of wrestle. But when we were having our conversation, I said, listen, I have failed more than they've succeeded. And I came across a scripture in the Bible that said, believe on me and live. And so I was saying to him, listen, just believe me and live, right? To skip all of those stages, but I wanted to say to everyone here, as you guys are putting legs to your vision, make sure you are listening to God with whom to pour into, who to give your time to, where to make the investment. Because if you are solely spending your time laboring with people out of compassion, they will rob you of the necessary energy and fuel that is needed to catapult you to where you're going. And you will find yourself year after year in the same place around the same people who would refuse to change their mind because you can't show them anything different. Your mind has gone to a place that you cannot physically materialize because you are quarreling and you are going in circles with people who can't receive what you have bled for yet. You have to manifest it in order for them to see. The Bible says, lift up thine eyes to the hills from which cometh your help. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they gotta see you in a place of sin. They see you in a risen place. They gotta see you on the top of your mountain that God has predestined for you before the foundation of the world. But don't get stuck in your process, in your state of transition, laboring with people who do not have a revelation of who you are. You will be able to help them, but just not now. Those that the Lord give to you, to take them with you and journey with you so that they can see your steps, your stages, and allow them to watch you pay the price, so that they understand when it's time for them to take their own journey, that they understand what it is to persevere and to go through those moments when it's not so easy, because they watched you do it and you've overcome it, because they all will have their own journey where you won't be able to rescue them out of. But for those that God has not called to you to pour into in your season of obscurity, you have to leave them where they are for now. I yield my mic.
Uncle, can I jump in there?
Good stuff. Go ahead, Prophet Jay.
Listen, you ready for me, Uncle? Can I be honest?
Go ahead.
Listen, when you were talking about cutting people off, as it related to my own life, I have to be honest and say this. Neediness attracts neediness, huh? See, when I was in a season of my life when I was needy and felt like I needed people because I had a deficiency, because I didn't see myself how God saw me, it opened the door for people to come in and assume a position that I didn't want them to have. See, when I was needy, it was okay for you to be my spiritual father, my spiritual this, my spiritual that, when really you were just a midwife helping me get to the next stage that I needed to get to. But I miscategorized you by way of my neediness. But what ended up happening was God showed me who I was. And when He showed me who I was, I saw myself how He saw me. So I understood our commonality of this for me, because who I was called to be, I understood that He already equipped me with my exodus. So I understood on the inside of me, anything that didn't speak the language of getting out and overcoming, you could not be connected to me. Because if I'm overcoming and coming out and you're still staying where you are, the Bible says, how can two walk together lest they agree? So that means that either you're going to come over here or I'm going to succumb to where you are. But the Bible says in Revelation, come up here and I will show you some things. So that means what? Like my father said, I have to ascend. So if I'm ascending, I can't afford for anything to be grabbing at my ankle, holding me down. It's okay that you knew what my Achilles heel was. That's cool, because guess what? God has covered me, and we thank God for the blood. But now that I have come out and overcome, if you're not trying to come out, then I have to leave you where you are and say, may God bless you and exceeding grace be unto you. Because my next season depends, some things that I've understood is getting to my next assignment, some things are time sensitive. Certain battles that I have to get over and win are time sensitive. And me messing with you by way of a deficiency or a needy place is not going to cost me my wealthy place because I'm messing with you. Because the reality is, if you get to your wealthy place, you probably won't even remember who I am when you get to where you got to go. Now, I done helped you heal up and lingered with you for you to get to a place. And now I done missed out on my season. So what I have learned is, once God healed me and showed me who I was, if you're not trying to come into the identity of who you are, then there's no need for me to be connected with you, because the whole validity of me saying I'm a son is there being transformation on my life. So when you see me now, me saying that I'm a son of God, you should see transformation and say, I know there has to be a God, because I remember where he was and now I see where he is. Jesus didn't die. Glory to God. Jesus didn't die and rise again, right, for you to stay in the same place that you're in.
Come on.
It would have been no power. So the whole purpose of you staying where you are, then that means that the blood ain't never have no power if you can't come out of where you are. So now that I know who I am, I have no time to be connected with people who are speaking my same language. And I yield my mic.
Good stuff. Now, here's the thing. Now, I'm going to play angel's advocate to this. I'm so glad you said this. Thank you, Apostle Prophet Dwayne. Thank you, Prophet Jay, for contributing to this conversation, because you're bringing up something that I said last week. And I know this might sound like, really? Did you really just go there? But here's the thing. It was meant for you to go through that in order for you to get identity. When you were in a needy place, when you were in a place of connecting to someone's potential and not where they actually are, because you saw the gift, you saw the anointing, but you didn't see, again, I said about discerning of spirits and natural discernment. You got caught up in the gift and the anointing and their money and their abilities, that you, be it natural or spiritual. We're not just only talking about the spirit. Let's be clear. We're talking about natural. Right. We're talking about people who's going to invest in your vision, or mentors that is going to help you build your business or whatever. So this goes natural and spirit. So don't get caught up in the heavenlies and think that we're not talking about natural principles as well. So here's the thing. You got caught up in seeing the adornments, the leaf of the tree, but you didn't examine the fruit. And because you didn't examine the fruit and you saw how nice the leaves and how beautiful the tree looked, that you didn't realize that the fruit was rotten and had all kinds of bugs and worms and everything on the inside of it, that you connected to something out of ignorance, but it was meant for your good. You don't believe me? It was good that I suffered. It was good. Why? Because in that moment of going through sitting there, making somebody else great, bringing your gift and talent, trying to help them, throwing buckets of oil up to the head, trying to help them with your gift and talent, you begin to realize that God has called you to something in the midst of that suffering, in the midst of being misidentified, in the midst of that person not having any value to bring to where you are and headed in your purpose or in your destiny. Again, be it natural and spiritual, it does not matter. And then you begin to come into identity to realize, like, I actually am called to something greater than just this. I'm actually meant for this. And you begin to establish relationship. And through that hurt and through that suffering and through the chastisement and the rebukes and all the stuff that comes along with it, you actually come into understanding of God and the relationship with God and who we made you to be, not what man made you to be. You don't know? I know all about it. You know, after the last ministry that I was a part of, I was in a cave moment between me and God for 5 years. For 5 years, that God was detaching me and taking me through processes and deliverance between based off of people, and thinking that it had to be people to affirm me, it had to be people to validate me, it had to be people. But when God had to take me through that, to draw my relationship closer to him and not man, that was the thing that brought me closer into identity. And when I had to go through those processes, but I had to go through that. I had to go through it, just like what Prophet Jay was talking about, just like what Apostle Prophet Dwayne was talking about. It's for your making. Now, here's the thing. Now you've been made aware. You know, you might be in it right now. You might be dealing with it even right now, but you've been made aware. You're held accountable for the knowledge that you hold. And so now that you're aware of that, sometimes you have to exit stage left. You have to have an exodus moment so that you can grow and evolve and find the connection. This is why we're talking about this, because again, sometimes we're gullible. We think because they're anointed, they can turn a phrase, they can speak in tongues, they got a little money, they've established this business, and they can talk this way, and they do all this, and you see them and the lights and all that, but you don't realize that they might not even have oil to pour.
Come on.
Or they're trying to suck off of you and try to leech off of what you have, because they want to use your gift and your talent and your abilities and your access and your connections and your friends to build their portfolio, their connections, their profile. And so you got to be cautious. That's why we're talking about study to be silent, and we're talking about be mindful of have natural and spiritual discernment of those that you're connecting to, because not everybody is meant for your good. There can be secret assassins. There can be people that are witches and warlocks. There can be those that are snipers. They're literally assigned by the gates of hell to come and disrupt what is meant for you to be in the earth. And you can't be so gullible in examining the leaf and not examine the fruit. You have to examine the fruit. What's in the heart of man? What is the nature? What is who they are? Because do you know how many times that I've done that? That I've connected to people's potential because I saw what my gift and talent can be an asset to them, but they had no oil to pour into me. Or they had very little oil to pour.
It's so good. This is good.
They have very little ability to bring my vision into manifestation. They ain't gone through enough. They talk a good game, but they ain't been through nothing. They ain't been through nothing. See, the stuff I'm talking about, and my brother is on here to attest because he's been knowing me for years. This is my 17th year anniversary month of business.
That's right.
This is my 17th year anniversary month. What I'm talking about is what I have endured. Now, I ain't talking about bringing you into billions yet, because I'm not at billion level, but I'm taking you through the process on the momentum to get there. On the momentum to get there. So here's the thing. I'm pouring oil because I endured this. I know it well. I know it well. And so I understand what you've been through. I understand what you've had to endure. I understand, when you've entrusted people with your baby and they misused it. They try to take it for their own. They try to make it, they try to stamp their name on it and call it theirs. I've been there. But what it did was, and matter of fact, he's on here because he prophesied it to me. What it did was, it built something in me to know that I'm not connecting to nobody in this juncture of my life that doesn't have oil to pour. My brother said to me years ago, matter of fact, it was about 4 years ago. He said to me, well, you are in your life. He said, you ain't connected to nobody that don't have more than you to pour into you. And at first I thought, I was like, nah, I can submit to somebody that does it. But then I thought about it. I said, no, you're absolutely right, because I have already done that dynamic, and it has kept me in a stunted place in my life and my journey. And then also I was doing things backwards. See, we're talking about me. I gave the example. I'm trying to take what I have and I'm trying to throw it up to the head. But what does gravity naturally do? It's going to bring what you poured up right back down to you. The natural order of it is that the oil is supposed to fall from the head, from the beard down to the skirt, right? And if I'm at the lower part of the totem pole, or lower than you as my leader or a mentor or somebody I'm connected to in business, or a venture capitalist or an investor, you have to have something more than I have to pour into what I need.
Teach this.
Yes.
And so we get again, us as spiritual. Be so gullible, and this is not any disrespect to us as a people of color, and I'm not saying this is a race thing, but because of ignorance, we just attach ourselves to everything and we call it God, and then once and we see the wolf in sheep's clothing. But here's the thing, and I was in a room talking about this, about wolf in sheep's clothing, because they was trying to talk about false prophets and apostles and all that, but I'm not getting into that. But here's the thing about a wolf in a sheep's clothing. I want you to think about the size capacity of a sheep versus a wolf. There's a distinct difference. When a wolf have on sheep clothing, you can still see its claws, you can still see its fangs, you can still smell the blood of the sheep that it devoured on its breath. It's going to eventually growl at some point. But some of us are so blinded to the lights, blinded to the prestige, blinded to how they turn the phrase and how anointed they are, that you don't even see the inner man of who they are.
Jesus,
you don't see who they are and who they live outside of what they're talking about, and how they. And I'm talking about this in the church. I'm talking about this in the natural. And so I'm saying this to protect you. To protect you, you need to learn how to guard and protect your baby, to shamar it, to cover it, to be a watchman over it. But then you need to also guard and protect yourself. You got to guard and protect you. You got to cover yourself. You got to be like Shammah, which is one of the elite warriors of David, when the Philistines came to rise up against them, when they had planted the field of lentils and they came to try to take them over. The herdsmen ran for their life, but he decided I'm going to stand up in authority, and he decided to slay all of them. He had the spirit of that movie 301 person, and he destroyed them all because he was trying to take what belonged to them. It's just lentils, but it's your lentils. It's just a small vision, but it's your vision.
Come on.
It's a small dream, but it's your dream. And to you, you might think it's small. To you, you might think it's small. But God makes it much in the hands of God. He makes it much. But you think it's small. And that's why I say it's bigger than you. And because when you realize that it's bigger than you, you also have to cover and protect it even more, because somebody else's life, destiny, career, purpose, dreams, talents is connected to your yes, and you putting legs to your vision. It's connected to it. And if you don't guard it and you don't protect it, and you're not wise in the decisions that you make,
you breaking up, bro.
If you're not wise, can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Am I still in the matrix? Am I still in the matrix? Can you hear me?
Come through the matrix. Coming out.
You're good now.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, the devil don't want this to come out. All right, y'all can hear me well?
I was gonna repeat that.
Good. So you have to guard and protect it. You have to be mindful of the people that you connect with, because when somebody comes and destroys the vision that's on the inside of you, they not only killed your destiny, they killed thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of other people's destiny that's going to connect to your vision. You don't believe me? Let me share this before we move on to the next person to contribute.
That is so true.
When I one of the last messages I preached when I was in Chicago was talking about digging, will you dig again, about wells, and about how Isaac was in Gerar, was with Abimelech, and he dug up his father's wells because of the whole dynamic that happened with that, and God was blessing him in the midst of that, and Abimelech basically asked him to leave peaceably, because he was upstaging him. And he went to one well, started to dig a well, but he found an already freshwater well dug, and he took claim of that well. And the herdsmen of Gerar said, no, that belongs to us. And then there was a quarrel over that well. Then he moved somewhere else and dug another well, broke down and got water. But then here come herdsmen again, say, no, this is our land. And they had strife over that. But he went to a place where nobody knew him. And he began to dig a well, and he broke through, and he named it Rehoboth. Now, here's the thing about Rehoboth. Here's the thing about Rehoboth. It means open spaces. It means that he made room for him, and he flourished, and he multiplied in that area. But here's the thing that you don't hear about the scripture, though. When you study it out in history, you find out that there was a city built around the Rehoboth, that Rehoboth land where the well was dug, and that there was a whole city, and people have come and drawn from their well. Some people built residence around it, they built a city around it, and some people just draw and move on. Because after your children's children and children's children are dead, the legacy that you leave behind remains. It remains. And so that means that it's bigger than you. So if you allow somebody like the Philistines did in Gerar, put dirt in your wells, they're drawing up the resource for not only your children's children, but somebody else's children's children. That's how significant your yes is. And so that's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You got to be careful. You got to be silent. You can't keep sharing your expensive ideas with small-minded people. You have to guard and protect it. Because not only are you holding up your destiny, you're holding up thousands and thousands upon thousands of other people's destiny. Look at Martin Luther King. If he didn't have a dream, if he didn't decide to become a preacher, what would we be today? If Moses did not hear God when he was before the burning bush and he decided to run off, what would have happened to the children of Israel? What would have happened if Jesus, when he was on the mountain, tempted of the devil and yielded to what the devil said? What would have happened? What would have happened if he would have just said, you know what? F this. I'm coming down up off this cross. These ninjas can fend for themselves. Where will we be? Where will we be? So again, you think what you have is small. It's not going to be that big. It's going to be little. You know, it's just going to be a couple of little t-shirts I'm going to do. And before you know, you're a fashion mogul. Ask Damon John. Ask him. And he's a billionaire. Ask him when he came out with the FUBU brand. And he was just selling t-shirts out of the trunk of his car. And he got it in the hands of LL and other rappers that made his name blow up overnight. Overnight.
So true. Yep.
But you thought, I'm just selling a few little t-shirts. Give me a little side hustle. I'm just doing a little hair in my house. You know, but you're gonna become the next Mario Tricosi. You're gonna become the next the next hair brand and the hair products. You don't know. You don't know how big your vision is going to be. You don't know where it's going to end up, and it might not even grow big through your hands. It might end up after you're gone. It might still grow and expand well after you're gone. But you had to do the work. You had to put legs to it, but you still got to guard it. You got to protect it. Now, here's the thing. Let me also be clear, because I hear you in the spirit, because some of you have a trust issue. Some of you have a trust issue to the point that you don't trust nobody. So I'm going to guard and protect it to the point that I'm not going to put it in nobody's hands. But here's the thing. You can go from one extreme to the next. I'm saying guard and protect it, but I'm not saying guard it and protect it and shield it away from people that can help you.
Choke it up.
That's true.
You got to be careful. So you can't go from one extreme to the next. Oh, yeah, the man of God proving me my point. I don't. That's why I don't trust nobody now, because everybody out to get me. No.
No.
We're killing that. We're killing that. Because God will bring your gift before King, and you might, you just trying to get, because you already got money. I know you're trying to take my idea. No, they might be the one to bring it into fruition. And you might have to give up 10%, 15%, 30%, maybe even 49% stake in your company. Why? Because they got the money and the access that you don't. And they will make you a millionaire overnight while you trying to scrape and scramble and trying to make it yourself. And yeah, you had to give up 49% of your baby, but they had access that you don't have access to. And it made you a mogul overnight. And now you can take and invest that into your next baby, into your next vision, while that is still functioning and flourishing. And maybe be able to renegotiate later that I want to get more rights to my business and buy them out. But you don't know the process because of fear. And so I had to kill that too, because I smell it circulating in the room. Oh, but that's why I don't trust nobody now. But that's why we had to kill it. Because not only do you have to protect it, but like I said, the other element to that is you have to be discerning of the people you connect to. It doesn't mean that you don't connect to anyone. It means you have to discern who you're going to connect to so that they are the right person and not the person is going to destroy it. All right, I've said a lot. I know I've said a lot. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah, this is Donald. Ace.
Hey, my friend. Thank you for coming on up. Finally, brother.
Yeah. It's a few things that I heard Dwayne say, a few things I heard Jaquin saying, a couple of that you said. So the first thing is my business is a paratransit business. Paratransit caters to transportation for the elderly and people with disabilities.
Indeed.
And that's according to the ADA Act of 1990. It's based on all rooted from the Civil Rights Act of 1963 or 64, I think. So it's a open field. It's open industry, excuse me. And with that, trying to put legs to my vision, I'm trying to build a capital right now, which I got some good people. I was part of the Founders Institute at DePaul University, 2017. I had pitched my business every Tuesday night for 6 months straight. For the lawyers, they were lawyers, alumni of DePaul, venture capitalists, angel investors, all that stuff. So they wanted 30% of my business. And Ace, you talking about a multi-million-dollar idea, man. Up to about 14, 15, 16, 17 and on up.
Indeed.
I couldn't give them 30%. I didn't feel it in my spirit to do that. Now, they would have gave me the amount of capital I needed to start it, and it had been profitable for them. Very profitable for them and very profitable for me. They would get more than their return back. But I just didn't feel in my spirit that God wanted me to do that. And so, long story short, toward the week before I was supposed to graduate from the Founders Institute, I dropped out of it because what they did was they were trying to make me they make you sign a, of course, it's called a, the NDA?
Yes.
Non-disclosure, right. Right. So you sign one, but if you read the agreement, there's nothing in it that benefits you, which means they can take your idea.
Right.
So
you were supposed to do the reverse. You were supposed to make them sign an NDA to your vision.
Right. But I didn't know that, Ace. So I signed it the week before I was supposed to graduate again from the Founders Institute. And you all look up the Founders Institute. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a good institute. It was incubated in Silicon Valley, California. And it's at all the big universities, Harvard, Yale, Princeton. They everywhere. And they have a portfolio of over $1 billion that they help people with working capital. So that's a big thing. But I just didn't feel like I wanted to get 30%, 40%. 30% is the going rate in business. Okay, so that's straight off the bat, 30%.
Indeed.
But I just didn't feel like I wanted to do that. I didn't feel God was leading me to do that because I'm not going into, I had to share every detail of my dream. Do you hear me?
Indeed.
Every detail. And when I started, because God gave me the blueprint. I received a prophetic word at Crusaders over there, Apostle Eckhart, that he's going to give me blueprints for my business. And he did. And I only know maybe one or two people that's doing it like that. So it can be done, and people say, well, it can't be done. I don't worry about that, Ace. My faith is a little bit stronger than that. I don't worry about that. If God gave it to you, he's going to make provision for it. Absolutely. But the point I'm trying to make is this. Is that this thing with as far as people cutting people off. 2007, a woman of God prophesied to me, and she told me two things. She says, the Lord says, don't waste your time on people who won't listen to you. That's the first thing she said. Now, this is real talk. Does that mean that everything that come out of Donald's mouth is the gospel? No, it's not. Does that mean everything I say is right? No, it's not. But God does not want you to waste your time on people who will not listen to you.
Indeed.
You say that again, sir.
One more time for the Holy Ghost, for the religious people.
Repeat it again for the people at the back.
That's what I knew Lisa was going to say it, for people in the back. But so
y'all tripping on me. It's all right.
Okay. So God does not want you to waste your time on people who will not listen to you.
Yes.
And the second word that the woman of God gave me, I can't remember. It was two women, and the second word I can't remember whether Pastor Aaron gave it to me or what the woman that was with her. But she told me this too. She said, "The Lord says you're gonna tell the truth, even if it's about yourself." So when you start getting words like that, and you start to come down to cutting people off, you ain't got to worry about nothing. God already spoke.
Amen.
Yes. An incident just happened regarding me delivering the word on Clubhouse tomorrow. You got to be. We in our heart of heart, we have friends, we have people we want to walk in ministry with. But here's the question: did God tell you to connect with that person?
Come on.
Indeed.
Did He tell you to do that?
No.
Did He tell you to do that? And it doesn't mean the person is bad. It doesn't mean the sister or brother in Christ is bad. It could be that they have some areas to grow in, and it's all about His sovereignty and His will. What did the Lord say do?
Yeah.
Did He say do that? And so I found out that He didn't say do it. That was me wanting to do that because of me being close to the individual, conversing on a daily basis, breaking bread, and so forth. But the reality is this: she's not going where I'm going, and there's nothing wrong with that. I tried to pull her there. I tried to pour into her, stuff her like a stuffing in a 60-pound turkey. Just put the prophetic. I'm talking about stuff her because I'm strong with that prophetic. I like to teach it, and trying to stuff it in and teach it. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do. And she was receiving, but to the point when it came down to the point of me asking her, can I see her material? She told me I didn't have a right to ask that.
Holy Spirit gave her that. I said, wait a minute. Hold on. Everything is subject to judgment, sweetheart. Everything. You have to discern what is of God. I explained to her about the vision God gave me. I explained to her about tapping into the rivers of God, the prophetic rivers. And there are 7 rivers. And I explained to her about Revelation 22. She wasn't trying to hear nothing I was talking about. She just said, oh, okay. Now, I felt like Jesus when a woman was pressing through with the issue of blood. And she said, if I can touch the hem of his garment, and he said, who touched me? That's what I felt like. And I felt all my virtue leave me, going back and forth with her.
Wow.
And getting the face of God. It just means that we're not supposed to be doing things in ministry together. We're not. I see it now. We're not. Because I've been taught old school, Ace, okay? Old school. You know, when you are presenting something to God's people, you don't give them scraps. You come rightly dividing God's word to God's people. You come prepared. You come rightly dividing his word, and you come also in the same spirit. You don't have to come from the same river I'm coming from, but you need to be tapped into the depthness and the revelation of one of those 7 rivers coming from the throne of Christ. And when I looked at it, I'm like, this is not coming from where I'm trying to come from. And so it was just a big, of course, but nonetheless, that relationship had to end. It had to end because I cannot allow her, or she can't allow me either, to hinder her where she's going, where she believes God is speaking to her. What I believe, I just can't. But there is no. The one thing about it is that there is unity in the body.
Yeah.
And what we always think, and I love what you say. You speak how I know the Spirit of God is speaking through you, Apostle Aaron, is because you speak in balance. You speak in balance. I can hear balance.
Yes.
You speak in balance. You know, Apostle Eckhart say, some people just so spiritually goofy.
They so religious, as he say.
Yeah, religious devils. So he just, but you speak in total. I can hear it. You've been walking with God so long, and you've been in an apostolic oil and grace for so long. I can hear the balance. I can hear the rivers of God. I can hear the prophetic river that you tap into. I can hear all that.
Yeah.
But it's just. I thank God that you got natural sense and Holy Ghost sense. Some people just be so spiritually deep and goofy. I don't know what to do with them.
Yes.
And that's no shame. They need to let just the Lord deal. They need to be balanced, and that's a part of maturing. That's all it is. So we just got to pray for our brothers and sisters in Christ. But the thing is about cutting people off. I'm the master of doing that. God had to stop me several times from doing it. One prophetic word I received, the Lord told me specifically, "Don't you cut them off. Let me do it." He knows me. I don't have time for all that foolishness. I've been through enough. People don't understand. It costs for the anointing and the calls on your life.
Come on.
It costs whether it was my disobedience or whether it was my obedience. It costs me.
Yes.
It costs you. So people. We need to also just be mindful of each other. But I learned a lesson this week. Man, I am only going to, if the Lord didn't tell me to connect with you to do ministry, I'm not doing it.
I know that's right.
I'm not doing it. And I rest my mic.
Can I say something, Apostle?
Go ahead, Apostle.
I'm sorry to cut you guys off because I gotta get ready to go to bed. But what you just say, Minister Donald, I'm sorry if I don't give you the right title. I'm sorry, Apostle, Prophet, whatever title God bless you with. What you say makes sense. We have to come to a place where we don't compromise. Splitting with people doesn't mean you have to become their enemy, right? I know there was a time in my life where the Lord was removing me from a ministry, and He revealed it to me. Let's be honest, God showed us things before it happened because we have a relationship. Those who have a relationship with God, right? But then we don't want to listen. Then He have to do it the hard way, where He gotta cut you off. Before He cut you off, He trying to tell you like, I need you to go here because the vision I'm giving you is not the same vision they have, right?
Yes.
But we try to make our vision their vision. And we trying to put like, why y'all not doing this? Why y'all not feeding the homeless? Why y'all not doing this? But that's not what God God gave them. Doesn't mean they're bad people. They have to do what God gave them. But we're so busy trying to give them our assignment.
Come on.
So now next thing you know, God gonna have to cut it off. And when God rips something off, he rip it off. Like he pull it apart. But then that's when it causes a tightness. Then you find this person is mad at this person, and this ministry is mad at this ministry. No, if we listen to God the first time when He was trying to separate you, it wouldn't be no hard part, right?
My God.
Like Peter is called to the church. Paul was called to the Gentiles. You know, they still have the vision from God. They're still doing the work of God. It's just different places that God, because everybody have to hear the gospel from different places, different markets. Some of us are called to the street. I'm more like a street person. Put me in the street. I'm more comfortable than you put me inside a four-wall door of a church. I have some of the members of my ministry that's on here right now. They will tell you, I'm more one-on-one. Put me in the street. Let me love and hug on people. And you have some ministry or some other people, they put them with the, men of God, things like
the
that.
mind of God.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And what happened, we see things wrong with it because that's not where God put us. So now we uncomfortable and we wonder why this church or why this ministry or this and that is not doing it. Go to the place where God called you. That's where we have to have boundaries. Once we put the boundaries up, we could be cool. I know where I stand. I know where you stand. But when I see you, there's no hard feeling. We could still worship and do things together. So Minister Donald, thank you for sharing that. And Apostle, you are on fire. I wish I could stay here longer, but I have to go to bed. I love you guys. Tomorrow we have service early in the morning. Apostle, we got to get you to come and preach for us one of the Saturdays. I love you guys. God bless you. And man of God, Dwayne, you started the whole thing. And Jaquan, I hope I pronounced your name right. You went on, man of God. I just love each and every one of you. God bless you. God keep you. God shine His face on you. And have an amazing night in the Lord, you guys. I love you. Apostle, we'll talk later. God bless you all.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Apostle Furline. You always welcome into the room in that regard. I know some of you all are in some different time zones. I know we got Patrice, she's in West Africa, so that she's dealing with a different time zone. But I do want to just say this for those that are getting ready to leave, because they do have to be up early. If you are interested in being a blessing to what is being shared tonight and you want to sow a seed in that, here's the instructions that I give every week about those that are sowing a seed. If you're going to sow via Cash App, and if you need to sow via PayPal, back channel me and I'll get you the email address for that PayPal. But here's the thing that I need you to do.
Before you say something, can I testify by sowing a seed?
Yes, go ahead.
You don't even know I'm about to say this. I sowed a seed. Was it 2 weeks ago when I sowed a seed to you?
Yes.
Can I tell you, because of me sowing a seed to him, a man of God blessed me with publishing my book for me. And he's a witness because I called him to be the publisher. That's one. And literally yesterday, and one of my staff members is actually on here. She will tell you, we have our own TV show that's coming out December 29th. And I truly believe it. When I put a seed, I name my seed, and I remember exactly where I sowed it. Sometimes you have to find out, wait a minute, I've been sowing here, nothing been happening. Can I be honest with you? Since I've been connecting with this man of God, I tell you the truth. I can't say I swear, but I tell you the truth. Every time I sow into this man of God, things happen. Things happen quickly because his heart is pure. And like the man of God, Don was just saying, he have a balanced life. And his heart is clean, is pure, and his hand is clean. So I encourage every single, I see my sister down here, Dr. Annette, how are you, my love? I love you. I encourage each and every single person in here, sow something. Don't receive this thing from this man not giving something. Please sow something. You will have a testimony less than 2 weeks. Because I'm telling you, every time I sow to this man, things like boom, boom, real fast, real quick. It's just like ridiculously. Okay, Apostle, I'm going to mute my mic. Okay, I'm leaving.
Wow, I'm outdone. No, I did not know she was going to say that. I didn't know about the testimony in that regard, and God be all glory. It's not even about me. And what even with the seed, it's not even about me. The principle behind this is sowing a seed into what your vision is, and what she just said is what I was about to say. When you sow the seed, in the description or in the box for your comment, put the name of your vision or the name of your ministry or whatever you're sowing it for. Even if you don't have enough space to put it on the Cash App or on the PayPal, back channel it to me, because I pray over every individual in that regard. And what God has been having me to pray, if somebody's been sowing $10 or $50, you can sow whatever God has put into you to give, because God is not telling me to give you a number, but this is about a principle about the seed. And he said for every seed that has been sold, he said put $1 million on it. He said, don't sow to pray tenfold, 30-fold, 100-fold. No, he said, put $1 million on it. And he said, and then whatever that's specific to the individual that I'm praying for and I'm interceding for, and the Lord reveals certain numbers to me, I will speak prophetically into that. That will either be the starting number that you need to build it, or the number that you need to be making annually for your business, or whatever it is, because I pray fervently over these individuals and their seed and their ministry and their purpose, because we're talking about putting legs to your vision. That's what we're praying into. And so when you sow your seed, whatever it is, I'm not out here for your money in that regard. That's just not my nature, not my character. But this is about the principle of what the woman of God just said about your vision, about what it is that God has given for you, and you're sowing seed into the ground so that you can bring forth a harvest in the vision that you're trying to establish. And so I just wanted to just share that real quick. The information is on my profile for the Cash App. If you need the PayPal information, again, back channel me and I will get you that. But don't forget to let me know the name of your vision or your business. And if it's something that needs an NDA, you don't have to say what it is, but you can say roundabout what the vision is, and I will just pray into that. And whatever God has given me in the spirit, I'm going to pray directly into that for you. And God is doing some things. I get back channels and messages, people saying that visions that they had put off, that God had brought them back to it and gave them access to it. And then they got a book deal. You know, the woman of God just mentioned about her book deal, of somebody paying for her book to be published, as well as her TV show, and the list goes on in that regard. So God is doing some amazing things, and it's way bigger than even the seed that you're sowing. It's way bigger than even me, but it's about the principle behind it, because God is saying, what's in your hand? What you're sowing is microbes in comparison to what God is getting ready to release upon your life. And so when you want to think from that perspective, that this is small in comparison, but God is going to make it much. And so I just want you to consider that. Before we move on, I want to reset the room, because I know we have some new people that just came in. I want to reset the room for those that have just come in. We are in our 8th installment of Putting Legs to Your Vision. Thank you for tuning in. Those that are on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, as well as you are on Clubhouse. Thank you so much for being a part of this series. If you missed any of it, don't worry. Clubhouse now has replay option. So if you have the updated version of the Clubhouse app on your phones, you can begin to see the replays of the broadcast. And if you're not, you can go back and watch and click that link that's right above my head. That is actually my YouTube channel. It's actually on live on YouTube right now. You can go back and watch any of the replays from the previous lives. Now, unfortunately, because this is a new feature, all the previous episodes of this series, it's not on Clubhouse, just only this one, but you can go back and watch the other ones on YouTube. What we are talking about right now in this installment of Putting Legs to Your Vision, about what we talked about last week, which is to study to be silent and to be mindful of those that that you are connecting to in this hour and this season, because you have to be very careful and mindful of those that you're connecting to in this season, because not everybody's out for you. Not everybody wants to support you. I'm going to give you an example for myself, even before I move to the next person that wants to contribute to this conversation. I had someone that was somebody in leadership that was I thought was for me in that regard, and they were very keen prophetically concerning my life, in that regard. They were seeing in the spirit. But here's the thing about a broken clock: is always right 2 times a day, right? So it doesn't matter of the fact that somebody's prophetic in nature. They can still be gift and talent without repentance. However, there can still be a motive and an agenda behind the person that's releasing the word. So you got to be careful in that regard. And so later, as God began to grow me and develop me, the envious and jealousy began to rise up in this individual, and began to start trying to kill what was happening in my life. And I'm like, what is going on? But the Lord said to me, this relationship is coming to an end. And then they begin to manifest. Their whole nature begin to rise up. I said about a wolf in sheep's clothing. They growl and they fangs and those claws and that breath of blood is going to eventually show itself. It's going to eventually render its head at some point. And so the wolf became clear and very vivid and very visual. And I said, okay, I see. And it didn't change me. I didn't buckle. I didn't, because he was manifesting. But I immediately disconnected. Immediately. Now, God still used them even though they had an agenda, because when they were speaking into my life, they were very accurate. I cannot acknowledge that. However, like I said, what's the nature behind the person? And when that nature began to manifest, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. Didn't the famous poet say that, Maya Angelou? Well, that's what happened. And I was able to not be blinded by the lights, and I was able to disconnect immediately, because they was trying to be dishonorable. They was trying to be disrespectful. They was trying to make me manifest. They was trying to discredit and devalue who I am. And I said this to Prophet Jay the last time I was in his room. I prophesied to him in his life, and I said, do not allow anybody to put a price tag upon your purpose, your destiny, and your process. Do not allow somebody to put a price tag on that, because they don't know your story. They don't know your journey. They might think, well, you're not worthy and qualified. I'm going to give you another example before I move on. I was in a room yesterday with this woman of God, very wealthy woman of God. She's usually in the room with me, but she's not on tonight, because I'm sure she probably was in her own room. But very wealthy woman of God. I was in a room with her yesterday, and we were talking about the jet that I designed. I did a graphic design for her jet, for her, because somebody had prophesied it into her life, and she called me immediately and said, "Ace, I want you to design this as a mock-up. I can't find a company that can do a model for me or what have you. I want you to do it, design it, because I want to be able to see it every day." I said, "Not a problem. I got you." And I began to design it, and I began to make it happen. And when we finished it, it was exactly what she was visualizing. And the woman of God was crying and was stirred up every day. She was getting very little sleep, because she could see the vision and taste it, and because I was able to bring her vision to life. What it is that she saw in her dreams, I was able to bring it to life without her even telling me about it. God gave it to me divinely by the way of the Spirit, and I didn't even know I was getting it by way of the Spirit, because I'm a creative. I'm only going to do what I see and I feel, and it makes sense later. But when we were talking about this jet, and God gave her favor, because I designed the pictures for her, it brought connection to somebody that knows the person that owns that very jet, that's actually owned by a royal family. And they was like, well, we don't even want it anymore, because it was given to them as a gift. It was given to them as a gift, and they said, well, we're gonna sell it. The jet is worth over $200 to $500 million. They're gonna give it to her for the low, and I mean the low in comparison. But because of that, those photos and doing that for her, that brought a connection to her. And when she got the favor, God told her, call Ace immediately and tell him what happened. So we were talking about this testimony on the live, and she told me to share the prophetic word that I gave her. And then there was a continuation to the word. But then I heard chatter in the background. I could hear somebody saying, she don't need all that. Why they need all that? It ain't all that serious. Why you need to have or what have you? And God told me to kill it immediately. And I went after it. And the Lord had me to release what it was and said what it would need to be said, and so on and so forth. And do you know that the woman that said it, that was listening in on Facebook, came back and said, it was me. I repent. And God gave her an opportunity to get it in alignment, because she was envious and jealous of it, but she didn't think that it was that if she couldn't get it, then nobody don't need to have it. And so we was able to reverse what it was that she was speaking, that God began to prophesy into her life and bring value to her life. But you will have people that don't see it, because they wish they had it for themselves. Oh, they get too big for their britches. They think they anointed. They think they got apostle next to their name. They got prophet next to their name. They say that they going for millions. They showing all these expensive dreams on their Facebook and on their Instagram. They ain't never gonna be that. because they wish they could be it. And so those will be the ones that will be secretly for you. In front of you, they're for you, but secretly against you. Praying against you, praying your demise, being assassins, being snipers, and being those that pray against what it is that God has given you. So that's why this is all a full circle. This is why we're talking about you got to be careful. You got to be careful who you connect with. Just because they sound good, because they smell good, because they look good, don't mean they're the one for you. You need to discern who to connect to in this hour and in this season in that regard. So I'm going to pause there. Anybody else want to continue? I see you, woman of God. Thank you, Miss Yolanda, for coming up. The cake master. Give me a moment, and I'm going to get that cake from you. I'm waiting on it. I'm going to get it.
Right, that's fine, Apostle. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for coming up.
Good evening to everybody. You know what? I am so glad that I was able to come in tonight because this is so on time for me. I tell you, I bake, and I started baking when I was 26, 27. So I've been doing it for like 40 years or about 40 years now. Anyway, off and on. But I said that to say that the other day, last week, a very good friend of the family, she actually grew up with my sister, and they live in Dallas, and her and her husband, they are chefs, and they have their own business, and so they've been married for years, so she wants me to do all of her baking for her anniversary, which is December the 4th. And I told her I'd do it. And anyway, she's been asking me, not just now, but even before that, she wanted me to come to Dallas on every weekend and do all of her baking for her. And I just didn't feel it, and like I've been listening tonight, and it was like everything sounds good. You can know the person, and you just don't know. I don't want to take a chance. And I mean, I've seen their spread. I've seen some of their desserts, and nothing. I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back or anything, but nothing like what I would do, and I don't want to go there and give everything that I have, not even going to where they might do the catering, but they're taking my product and not knowing if they're saying that it's theirs or, because they really could do that. I would never know it. And even though I know her and I know her well, I just didn't feel like it was God saying, that's where you need to go. And I am so glad that I came in here tonight, because it was like it sounded good, because the money, they making very good money. It really sounded good that I could do this. Do I want to go to Dallas every weekend? Do I want to do that? It would be a lot of pressure on me to do that. And then even if the money was coming in, what is it gonna do for me? It's not gonna be something that's gonna put legs to my vision.
Indeed.
It'll be me just giving them what I do, and I was like, you know what? Because I know that God didn't tell me to do that yet, and even though she's asked me before, I can't do it, and I know that she's going to be upset about that, but I can't worry about what somebody else think or say about me, because this is mine, and I'm not just going to give it away and give it to you, or do all the work for you and you get all the credit for that. I'm not going to do that. So it's just been really kind of rough. I was able to get my DBA, and also my son is doing my website for me, and he's actually kind of walking me through some things. He's telling me some things because he has his own business too, so he's kind of really helping me a lot. So I'm just going to kind of like stay with that right now, as far as like doing that part and putting it out there. But I have so many other things going on, writing my book and that as well. So it's just been kind of trying to balance everything out with everything else that I got going on in my day. And it just gets kind of hectic sometimes, you know, but the money with her, I mean, I know that it's there, but, and they're making very good money because of the things that they do, and they've been doing very established, but I just can't take that chance and do that. And even though it sounds good to me, it really does, because she says she's going to give me all of her baking, everything, but I can't take that chance right now. And I think Donald has said that, you know, you just can't just go and give everything that you have, just give it away like that. And I'm just not going to do that. I'm not just going to give what I have worked so hard to get to, tweaking different recipes and tweaking different things that I had to do for me to get it like I wanted, and to give that away. I'm not getting ready to do that. So I'm really glad that I was able to come in and listen to that, because it was just confirmation for me, and knowing that I'm hearing what God's telling me. If I didn't tell you to do that, then don't do it, because you don't know. I don't care how much you know a person. They could have a good heart, and she does, but you just don't know what's behind that. You know, if somewhere down the road, you know, they get everything that I'm doing and get my recipes and all of that, and then they won't want me to be there no more. You know,
right?
So I'm just not gonna even take that chance right now until God say. If God tell me to do that, because I'm really praying about it, because she's a sweet person, her and her husband, but I still just can't take that chance until I have clarity and know in my soul that this is what God is saying for me to do. So I just thank you for you all have all been on fire tonight, and like my pastor, she left before I could acknowledge her. But yeah, we getting ready for in the morning.
Yeah.
But she's such a great influence and a great mentor, and you know, she just keeps us, you know, leveled off, and I'm grateful for that too. So, you know, it's just like staying in the loop, and I will definitely be back on here, because it's so much information, and it's so needed. The things that are spoken about, and the wisdom that comes from so many, you know, that we need, you know, because you never get unteachable, and you never get enough knowledge. You never get too much knowledge. You have to always be willing to hear and listen, and that's what I just absorb and observe what God has for me to hear and listen to, and that's just where I'm at right now. So I just thank you tonight for that.
Absolutely. I heard that scream. Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
Miss Yolanda, I heard you say a lot of things, but before I offer anything, I want to ask, because you mentioned you needed some clarity. I'm about to go in another room. So is it okay if I ask you some things to help you with the clarity? Is that okay?
Please.
Okay. Yeah.
You're in the Matrix.
I appreciate that.
Could you guys hear her well?
Moving to that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay, thank you. So I heard you say, it's kind of sound like you were back and forth. You said she's a great person. She's a good friend of mine. I know her character, but she may take my recipes. They may, like, there's a lot of unknowns. So my first question to you is, have you ever really sat down with her to ask the honest question about her intention of asking you to come there?
Yes, some time ago I did. She just said that they're basically into the cooking, and she doesn't like to bake. So she just was going to give it all up to me. And that was it. We just haven't had a sit-down conversation about it, and maybe we need to do that, you know, where I can get a little bit more clarity to see if that's really where I want to go, or if that's where God has for me to go.
Yes, ma'am. I would suggest to honestly just ask her, because a lot of times we make up in our mind before we even ask the question of how a person will respond. Sometimes it's right, but sometimes it's not. And a lot of times we bring unnecessary, we just bring unnecessary things that aren't even true.
Yes.
Before we even really ask the question. She may surprise you. You know, either way, she might say, you know what, and then this is another thing too. If somebody is bold enough to ask you to do something that may be something that you don't want to do, you should be bold enough to ask them their intention and get an honest answer from them as well. So she owes you that, you know, before you commit to going and changing your life, you know, especially if you're unsure about it. And so a lot of times we do ask God to give us a sign, to make it clear. This may just be me, but I found that in times when I don't hear yes or no from God, He's given me the opportunity to make the decision that I want, because it's not going to be a bad decision either way.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, so I'm just trying to, you know, maybe that will clear up something for you.
Yes.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself, because when you make that decision, know, since you have prayed about it, that when you walk in it, if the Lord is not saying, oh, no, stop right there, that you can continue to go. Okay, and He will stop you if there is something to be stopped. So really, I think the decision may be up to you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Can I say something as well?
Sure. Go ahead.
Miss Yolanda, my name is Amisha Deshay. I am a brand manager. Also, Apostle, he's one too. My suggestion is, if this is your baby and this is your business, I would suggest that you get systems in place so that when you are offered opportunities like this, instead of you trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, how to go about it, you will already have something laid out so you can go to her and say, yes, I would be interested in doing this with you, but here are my terms. And we have to get on the contract. In order for me to come and do all your baking and stuff, I want all of my baking, all the baking, you know, the stuff to have your logo on it. You know, just those type of things. Get your systems in place with your brand so that when somebody offers you those type of things, you can most definitely be able to come to them with a proposal on what are your boundaries and what are you setting for your brand. So, you know, so that if she, you know, if she's as good a person that you say she is, if she just told you she don't like baking and she don't give, and you know, she's gonna allow you to do all that, then she could put on her menu, baked by such and such and such, or you know what I'm saying, you know, she'll give you some type of advertisement or something for your business. So don't just automatically cross it out. I think maybe you're doubting because you probably don't have those systems in place. You don't have, you know, your recipes and stuff patent, or a way for people to not, you know, capitalize on your ideas. So before you take it out, just take at least a day or something. Just write down what your do's and don'ts, and then consult maybe Apostle or somebody else who can help you with that. You know, consult them and help them get your systems in place.
Indeed.
Yes. Well, y'all, thank y'all so much. I really, really do appreciate that, because that's what I'm saying. Things that even though I've been doing this off and on for so long, never really to a point where I had to do make a big contract or a proposal, because I've just been like having clients, you know, like for wedding cakes or just doing general baking, because I've been doing it for so long. So a lot of the clients that I have, they come back throughout the year, and some of them come back like every year, especially during this time of the year.
Right.
So, you know, it's like never having to do a proposal, because I've never had anyone to just, you know, ask me something like that. So it was kind of a question mark in my head, you know, like, wow.
Because it's new territory for you. You've never done it. But this goes back to our initial conversation that we had on day one, when we were talking about your vision. And you know, you're doing it, and this is not to demean it at all, but you're doing it in a smaller scale, because you have your faithful ones that come, you have the word of mouth people that come. But when you get to a level where you have a specific order request for a commercial account, and they want to do, a large order in that regard, and then you have to accept. They want to have legal documents in place so that they know, and then you might not have any of that in place. So this is why we were talking all this process of what we're talking about, putting legs to your vision, is you need to start looking into what is required at the level for your vision. What is the standard? What is required? What licensing do you need? What type of agreement? What type of contracts you need to establish? What type of things you need to protect your product and your recipes and all that, because you already have it in place. So when the door of opportunity comes, you ain't scrambling to get it. I'm gonna say it to you like this: my spiritual mother, before she passed away, as a matter of fact, I'm actually sitting right next to it. I got it in my hand. Before she passed away, she gave me a word, and she said to me, she said, "You need to get your passport." I'm like, "A passport? I need a real word. I'm out here in the desolate area. I need you to give me a real word from God." But no, she said, "No, you're not listening." She said, "You need to get your passport, because when the window of opportunity comes, you need to be able to seize the moment." I ain't hear nothing she was saying. I was like, "Look, unless you gonna come up off that $200 and some dollars and whatever that's required to get it, I don't want to hear that." So, because I'm like, I need a real word. I am out here dying in the desert. I need you to hear from God stronger. But unfortunately, about a year after that word, she transitioned. Actually, she died the day before my birthday, and after she passed, I was talking to a former mentee of mine that knows her, and we were talking about that prophetic word, and she said, we were talking about the word, and I said, let me just look and see what it's going to cost in this area to get it done. And once I looked into it, or what have you, I said, okay, it's not as bad as what I thought. Okay, I can do this, and whatever. Okay, cool. So, and I left it at that. 12 hours later, I got an invitation, my first invitation to go to Kenya. My first invitation 12 hours later. And it came from somebody that I prophesied into her life, that God was opening her up to the nations. And I was calling her being funny, like, I'm going to rebuke the woman of God. I said, I just gave her a word, and gave her a word that God was giving out her for the nations. And all of a sudden, she just got ordained, affirmed as an apostle, and she going to the nations already. The devil is a lie. I'm going to give her a holy rebuke, being funny. And so I called her and was messing with her. I said, I see the flyer. You going to the nations already. The devil is a lie. You need to get some training and some development first. And then we was just laughing about it. She's like, oh, God, it's happening so fast. Matter of fact, the woman of God was actually in the room for a brief moment of time earlier this evening. And she said, oh, my God, it's happening so fast. And you know what? And you're coming with me. I was like, wait, what? Come again? And she said, and you're coming with me. Do you know that I heard a message that Juanita Bynum spoke maybe within that same month, that she said, when you get wisdom, then favor will come. Once you've got knowledge and understanding of where God is trying to take you to, then favor will come, because you need to have understanding and clarity of where God is trying to take you in your life next. And if you don't, it's like him doing what he tells us not to do, which is to cast pearl before swine. Why does he say that? Because a swine does not understand the value of a pearl. It's going to squander it, it's going to eat it, it's going to leave it in the mud, it's going to walk away from it, because it doesn't understand its potential. It doesn't. And so once you've gotten knowledge and understanding, then boom, favor will come. When we were on last night, yesterday evening, and we were talking about 11:11, and we was praying at the 11:11 hour, and we was praying about, we was not praying, we was making declarations and being grateful for the things that's already done. But God said, don't decree anything unless you have gotten logic and understanding on what it's going to take to make it happen, to build it, and to expand it, and to grow it. If you don't know that, then don't come asking me for nothing. We keep talking about, oh, God gonna give me a mansion, he's gonna give me a mansion, he's gonna give me a mansion. But do you know what it takes? It requires to be what that costs for the mortgage? Do you know what the landscape costs to maintain acreage? I ain't talking about a few square feet. I'm talking about acres of land to maintain it. And if you're in a gated community, you got to deal with making sure that your property is at a certain standard, because you will be fined. And then what does it take to maintain all the utilities? Because you're not just living in an apartment that you're just paying gas and electric and maybe a little water. But how do you maintain all the utilities for this large space? Not 200-300, maybe 1,500 square feet. I'm talking about several thousands of square feet. How do you know? How do you be able to maintain it when you're talking about you got ceiling heights that's 20 feet high in your living room that is 2 stories high, and you got to heat and cool the air that ain't nobody utilizing? The air that's above. Because heat and air rises. So in order for it to come down, it got to fill the empty space above to come down to the lower level. So how do you maintain that? How do you grow it? And sometimes we act outside of our sphere and our capability to maintain, and that's why we haven't obtained it yet. That's why we haven't gotten it yet. And so that's why you got to get favor. You got to get you got to get wisdom, and you got to get logic and understanding of where God is trying to take you to. So when God blows upon you, you're able to seize the moment when it comes. You're able to grab the opportunity where it comes. So both women of God are absolutely right, and I stand in agreement with what they both said. That this is your moment that God is showing you right there. Okay, so even though this is your friend. But what if this is a Fortune 500 company that was asking you to do the same thing that she's asking you to do?
You're right. That's right.
But you don't have the agreements in place. You don't have your protection in place. You don't have your legal documents in place to cover you and to protect you and to make sure that they're going to fulfill their agreement and you fulfill your agreement and within this amount of turnaround time, and the list goes on. So this is important to everybody. You got to get wisdom. You got to get understanding to what God has called you to do so that you can begin to make wise decisions and moves into that when favor comes.
Yes. Amen.
Indeed. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Yolanda. Do you want to share anything else?
No, I'm good. I'm going to mute my mic. I'm just going to listen for a couple more minutes, then I'll probably leave out too.
No problem. No problem. And just to reset the room, thank you guys for coming in and being a part. There's something to think about broadcast. We're talking about putting legs to your vision. And then this week, we're on installment 8. We're talking about study to be silent and using natural and spiritual discernment of who to connect to and to get knowledge and understanding from God so that you're able to make wise decisions and moving. And we're even what she's talking about, what we just talking about with her is still in the same vein about knowing who to connect to, getting instruction from the Lord, and not just be so gullible and think that every door is the right door. And every connection is the right connection, that it's all sent by God, and it's not always the case. It's not always the case. But I also want to just share this as well, because I know we do have some people that are leaving out. Just to reiterate about the giving, if you're going to sow a seed into what we're talking about tonight, my Cash App, and I put up the PayPal information on my profile. Whatever seed that you decide to sow, make sure that you put your name and your ministry or your vision or your business or your product or whatever that you're putting legs to, so that I can begin to pray and cover you in that area of where your vision is. If you're not able to put it on the Cash App or put it in the PayPal, back channel it to me. So when I look for your PayPal and everything, I'm going to cover you in that. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm only covering those that sow. Don't get me wrong in that. But there is a potential behind the seed. Apostle Fertile came on and she gave an excellent example. And I wasn't even going to give anybody's testimony in that regard, but she said it about how when she sowed a few weeks ago, got that's next week, that same week that she sold, I think it was a few days later, somebody heard about her book that she was doing and decided to pay for her whole publishing that she's going to actually have done through my company to make that happen. And then also God has graced her with an opportunity to have a TV show on the Word Network. And so God is doing some amazing things, but there is a principle behind the seed, and it's not about me, it's about you. It's about what God is trying to get to you. God is going to make your little become much. And what God has been having me to pray specifically on, he said, don't pray 10, 30, 100-fold or whatever. He said, pray in the millions and pray into that either be their initial starting money, or that will be the money that they will come into to help them expand and grow the vision, or that will be the monies that they're going to make in their vision annually in that regard. And he said, pray in those numbers. And that's what I've been praying and releasing in that regard. And people have been back channeling me and been telling me about what God is doing in that regard. And so I'm not telling you what to sow. You sow at the level of what God has given you to sow. And you sow at the level of what your expectation of God is to do and expand in your business and in your ministry and your purpose in your life. And so in that regard, so you could sow it either through Cash App, you can sow it through PayPal. If you need any other means, just let me know, and then just back channel me, and I'll see what other options we can make that happen. But I'm telling you, God is doing something miraculous in this hour and in this season concerning our purpose, concerning our destiny, and God wants to see what you do with what you have in this moment. So I want you to just be encouraged in that regard. So are we still talking about this topic? For those of you that are in the listening lounge, you are welcome to come up and be a part of this discussion and this conversation. We are having real talk discussions. This is not just about hearing what I have to say or with just the people on the platform, but you have the ability to contribute to this conversation. For those of you that are in YouTube or on Facebook as well as Twitter, listening and watching in, you are welcome to join us here in the house. Come in on Clubhouse. We're going to be on a little while longer or what have you. And we're talking about putting legs to your vision. But tonight we're talking again about studying to be silent. Stop sharing your expensive ideas with small-minded people. Get before God or get clarity of what the vision is, or focus on the vision within yourself so that you can begin to get clarity and understanding, and then release it when it's an appointed time. And then also be cautious and careful of those who you are connecting to in this moment and in a season of your life, because not everybody's for you. Not every door is meant for you to walk through. And so I just want to go ahead and bounce back around. Anybody else want to contribute? I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm getting the red bar, but can you guys hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Great. Anybody else want to contribute? Want to add to that discussion about that the moment of being silenced and being cautious of those who you're connecting with? Anybody want to contribute to that or share their story of how they endured that?
I want to share. Oh, okay.
You can go ahead.
You can go when you're done.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Okay. Thank you so much, Apostle, for this room. I'm always so blessed being here. I'm getting ready to go to bed, but I just wanted to, share this scripture that has really been helpful for me, and is a reminder for all of us in this season. It is Ephesians 5, verse 15. To see ye then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming. Can you hear me?
Yes, it went out for a moment. We can hear you back now.
Okay. So yes, it's Ephesians 5, verse 15 to 16 onwards. It says, see ye then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. So yes, let us be circumspect. In this season, God has been placing on my heart, he says, access denied. But not the type of, denial that you give to people who are, sent to help you and nurture your gifts or pour into you. But access denied to those things that no longer serve us. And so that's the era, we receive when we're about to enter a territory that we're not supposed to enter in, or getting into a gadget or something that we're not meant to, an area that we're not meant to get into. So I would just like to leave that with all of you. Let us be protective of our gifts. And thank you all for sharing your beautiful stories. I'm so inspired, Apostle, and I will be here again. And definitely will find so many ways that we can work together and bring you here someday to West Africa.
Absolutely. I'm game. I'm ready. I told you I got my passport in my hand. Just listen. All you got, just back channel me. We gonna make it happen. Amen.
We will bring you here, and all of you, you're welcome. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm truly inspired and lifted. Blessings to all and good night.
Indeed. Get some rest, woman of God. And thank you so much. You know, it's always an honor to have you on to grace us with your presence. So I have you and stay up so late because I know it's like 3:00 there where you're at right now. So
yes, it's 3:32.
Yes, get you some rest,
yes,
woman of God.
You always leave with so much to reflect on, you know, so I'm really grateful. I really feel energized. Yeah, thank you.
Indeed, absolutely. Thank you so much, woman of God. You have a good rest of your night. So, Mr. Clark, you were getting ready to share as well. Feel free.
Yes, grace and peace to everybody. And first and foremost, I'm also a graphic designer and brand ambassador as well. Great to meet some new folks. I believe there was somebody else that was one as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Myself.
You, and it was one other person, I believe, wasn't it?
Yes, Misha.
Yeah. Misha, nice to meet you. I'll be sure to follow you guys. This actually is on time tonight, as I am dealing with this season and have actually been dealing in this season for a while. And honestly, this is like my second day on the Clubhouse, so I don't even know how I got into the room. That's how I know I'm in the place that I need to be. And it just reminded me of a couple things. I'm going to go back into where you said we have to be careful about who we share things with, and that sometimes our vision and our purpose might not necessarily always be for us. And it reminded me of something, a quote that God gave me a while ago, and that was that your vision and your purpose serves as somebody else's lifeline, even if that lifeline is not your own. So we have to protect the lifeline that we're giving out. And a lot of times the devil knows that he no longer has a lifeline. So he'll try to cut the oxygen that runs our lifeline. And I was even reminded that we always say that we want to be followers of Christ. Well, even Christ went through moments of betrayal.
Yes.
And so if we want to be like him, what makes us obsolete from people betraying us? And it was something I had to kind of think about. I was like, okay, see, God, you want to kind of beat me up on this subject, but I understand if I want to be like you, I have to go through things like you went through. And then it even reminds me of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and I'm done. I'm not going to be here on here long. How it's a time and a place for everything. And we just have to know how to weather the time changes. Just like when we get ready for all four seasons of life, we know that, okay, it's getting ready to be December. It's time to pull out the coats. You have to know what outfits and what different mechanisms that you need to use for each season of our natural and spiritual lives as well. And so that's just what I wanted to say. God bless you all, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to the next episode or next time that we talk as well.
Absolutely. It's every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. To God says different, but yes, absolutely. And then also, man of God, if you look at the link that's above my head, where it says 4G Graphics, that's my YouTube channel. You can go back and watch the previous episodes or series of this discussion, because we're in our 8th installment. So you can go back and watch those, because there's a lot of nuggets and wisdom and people's testimonies and their journeys that is so beneficial to everybody's life. And there has been so much wisdom in that regard that we have been sharing, just to hear people making progress and moves in the direction of where they're meant to be in life. And let me also say this, just as a disclaimer, to be clear. What we're talking about is not only just spiritual. I know you're hearing a lot of God, the prophetic, and all that, because a lot of us on here are believers. However, a lot of the stuff that's being said is able to be applied to you even if you're a non-believer. So, so we're not excluding you from the conversation. Let's just be clear. Because even though I'm an apostle, but in the business world, they know me as Ace. And I'm not, when I deal in business, I am firm in business, as the word says. And so, I'm not going to just be, dealing with it from just only spiritual principles, but I'm dealing with it with all gamuts. And man of God that was on earlier was saying that I'm balanced, is because I deal with the business world. I deal with people that are atheists. I deal with people that are of different beliefs than I am, and you have to be able to govern yourself accordingly and render unto Caesar what Caesar's. In that regard, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, and you might be brought into the room with some people that are non-believers. Don't allow your religiosity, and that's not even a word, but that's how deep we are. We're so shallow. We're deep. We're in the kiddie pool. And we allow ourselves to miss out on opportunities because of certain things. And so you just got to be wise in that. All of this is about wisdom. It's about being wise in your decisions and being wise in who you connect with in that regard. And it doesn't always mean that they're going to be a believer. I'm just letting you know that now. So get that out of your head, kill that mindset, and allow God to bring the connections to you that is meant for you, regardless if they're a believer or not. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm saying, go ahead.
Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else want to contribute?
Yes. This.
You still there? I think you might have went out.
What I've been sure of.
It might be me. It might be on my end.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. I think it's on my end. I got the red bar.
Oh, okay. I'm sure a lot of you all been getting a lot of people following you all who sell cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and they probably reach out to you all about investing. So this person who was calling himself Nathaniel Simmons followed me. Now, Nathaniel Simmons is a billionaire.
Mm.
So he followed me. I looked on his profile, and right away I knew this person was a scam because he listed a WhatsApp number. I'm like, okay, this is a billionaire. He don't have time for no WhatsApp, what's happening and whatever. But I called the number. Now, Nathaniel Simmons is a white guy. How come I call the number, a Chinese man answer the phone? Hello. I'm Nathaniel Simmons. I'm like, you and the devil is a lie, and I'm gonna report you to Clubhouse administration. So he unfollowed me with the quickness. So be careful with these people on Clubhouse who want to sell you some Bitcoin and some cryptocurrency.
Indeed. Absolutely. We do have to be careful who we connect with. I only, on certain things, I won't say on all things, but, with certain things nowadays, luckily, well, through the will of God is bringing people into my life that's verifiable, and other people know about them and know the validity of what they speak about, what they talk about in that regard. And so, but there is going to be moments when, again, you're going to have to use natural discernment and discerning of spirits. And sometimes you get that gut feeling. You feel it like, yeah, I don't know, and usually, that is usually your first impulse, but we don't move on it. And then when we don't move on it, we find ourselves in like, dang, why didn't I just do my first mind? Why didn't I just, and so God sometimes does that. I had a situation that happened that I was not, that God told me that I could not help someone in particular that was very close to me. And what happened was, they needed some money from me, and what they were trying to do, I was putting my card in, my card would not go in, and I kept saying, God, if you don't want this to happen, let me know. I kept saying it, and the card would not go through. It wouldn't go through. Then it was like, okay, well, try it on online, go on the website. I did it on the website. It didn't go through again, like 3, 4, 5 times. I know I had the money, but it would not go through. But on like the 8th time, I know that sounds crazy, right? The 8th time, it went through. And when I got done with that call, God whooped me something tough because he said, I told you you weren't supposed to do X, Y, and Z. And I cried my eyeballs out and I repented, but I did not listen to the first 7 times. The first 7 times when that card did not go through. And I was like, I'm trying to help, but then I'm trying but that was God then telling me, no, no, no. I mean, 7 times no. But because I didn't listen, I still end up getting whooped. And in that sense, because of that, that contributed to this individual not being maybe to where they could have been if they would have just did what God was trying to do in their life without my help, and maybe their life would be vastly different than what it is now. I don't know, but sometimes we can be a aid and abet to somebody's dysfunction or whatever. So we have to be. We got to be careful. We got to be wise in what we do and how we move because we're held accountable for everything that we do. And it's really important, especially when you know better. When you know better, come on. I'm sure everybody in this room is over the age of 25. So
not me. I'm 23. Speak for yourself. Exactly. Speak for yourself, sir.
Look, we ain't lying in this room. We're going to keep it 100. If you in your 40s, embrace it. I know I am. Look, I embrace all this gray. Because it's a blessing to be here. Listen, and I can talk about it. But with all that saying, we know better. And sometimes we act dumb, we act stupid, but we know exactly what's going on. We smell it, we see it, we see the red flags, but we choose to blind our eye. We choose not to make the right decisions, and we choose to connect and just take the wrong risk. We talk about taking a leap of faith, taking a leap yesterday, but sometimes we make decisions that we know that is the wrong ones, and we take a leap on it and believe it's God. Let me give you an example about myself, because like I always say, I can talk about myself, but I can talk about anybody else. I was trying to make a decision because God told me to rest in Him, rest in me. I'm doing something, and when He told me to rest in Him, I'm like, God, I'm in a situation. I need to make some moves, and He was like, rest in me. I got this under control. And I'm like, okay. But then later I heard him, but like 2 weeks later, I said, okay, well, I'm gonna make a faith move, and I'm gonna start making, looking into some stuff and what have you. And I put some money into something, making a faith move, and it came back because it didn't work out. That was the first sign. Like, that ain't it. That's not what God is doing. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna make a faith move again. I looked into something else that was still connected to that same source, and I put the money in again and lost it. And God said, see, you see what I'm saying? I said to rest in me. I'm doing something. I got this under control. Rest in me. And I'm like, it was a smack. It was a smack. But I had to acknowledge the fact that it was my doing. It was my doing that I made the decision. I made the move apart from Him, and I didn't consider Him, and I called it a faith move. Ain't that something? I said, I'm going to move in faith. No, I moved in my own will and my own decision. Because when you're making a faith move and it's in His will, God is going to blow upon it. He's going to enlarge it. But when we make a decision and it's unwise and God is already trying to give you clarity and direction and instruction, then it's not going to prosper. So that's what all of this is a part of, because this is what, in essence, this is doing. Is drawing your relationship closer to God, because you're going to depend on Him for everything. Everything. You're not going to make a move apart from Him. That's why you're consulting Him on who to connect with. That's why you're studying to be silent, so that you can hear the instructions from the Lord on what to do and how to do it and how to make it happen. That's why you have to be in a silent space to make that happen, because it's building your relationship and your trust in God. so that you can make the right moves according to him. The sons of Issachar discern the timing and season of God. They move in rhythm, and I talk about this all the time. They move in rhythm and in sync with God. They didn't just have the spirit. They had, it was their nature. It was the heart of them, and they literally move in the pattern and the rhythm with God. So when God say move, they was already ready. They was already packed and ready to go. Okay, it's time to break camp and move on. Our tent is already down. Where we going? You get what I mean? And you move in sync and in rhythm with God so that you're not making these unwise decisions. Now, don't get me wrong. We live in a real world. We're going to have moments when we make mistakes, such as life. It's life. It's life. And you're not always going to hear God. You're not always going to get instruction. You're going to, go through processes, and it's for your making. It's not for your breaking, but it's for your making. And it is a part of it for your breaking, to break you so that he could be what he wants you to be. So it's not to break you to kill you, it's to break you to make you, if that makes sense. Because he's a potter, and he's going to shape you and mold you. And sometimes you got to go through a squeezing. Sometimes you got to go through a pressure to make that diamond. You're going to have to go through a breaking so that you could be fashioned back together the way that he wants you to be. So I know we didn't get a chance to really go over what the topic, what we were going to be talking about tonight, because we got caught in this moment. So God gave a part 2 to this discussion. But what we were going to talk about tonight was about the pitfalls and the struggles, and maybe we could dive into it a little bit before we get out of here. But about the pitfalls and the struggles of what one endures when you're putting legs to your vision. When you're making moves and you're making strides and you feel that momentum and that thrust, and you going and going and going, and then all of a sudden your shoelace comes untied. And then you stumble and you step on your shoelace and you fall and you scrape your knee and your chin. Or you run it and you so focused, and then you didn't see the ditch that was in front of you with a hole, and you fall yourself into a ditch, in that process. I want to dive into that a little bit, and I want to hear some of your process of what you did. How did you recover? Are you still at a down space? Are you not? Did that cripple you to a point that you might have sprained your ankle and you need to recuperate a little bit? What share with me your struggles in that, and falling or stumbling. Because the reason why we're talking about this, because we could get so caught up in the glory that we don't realize the real reality of the fact that you're not always going to run a clean race. You're going to have a moment when you're going to feel like that you've lost the race. But the thing about I talked about this on Facebook, that even if you lose, you still win. And I'll bring context to that in a moment. But anybody want to share about that, about the pitfalls, the struggles? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I want to dive into it a little bit before we end the room tonight. Anybody want to share?
Sure, I'll share. One of my pitfalls is, of course, being a consultant, being a brand manager. In order for you to be somebody's brand manager, it takes for you to have a relationship with them.
Yes.
And sometimes, also being a consultant, there are plenty of times, maybe 10 times out of 10, that you're going to turn into a counselor.
Yes.
Because your client has meltdowns, and things like that. So one of my pitfalls is that my heart was, I'm always trying to make sure that my client is okay mentally, spiritually, and everything, which of course because of the relationship. But when you are getting people, and as an entrepreneur, you're going to run into these type of people that want to do business but don't know business. When you're doing business and they don't know business, and something doesn't go their way, or I've been craving you all this time, but I'm like, okay, I understand you going through this, but we got to get these projects done. Or, you get mad at me, then you want to go and blast my name.
Mm.
And a lot of times y'all going to run into people who are not going to want to stick with your boundaries, who are not going to, who going to want you to do something for them, and they're going to feel they're going to really, in their mind, feel like they're entitled to it. And when you don't do it, they will try to blast your name or say things about you, so I had to learn how to, balance who I am as a person, as a Christian, as somebody who loves people, and also that business person. So, my pitfall was just my inability to balance certain things. And then, of course, I had got sick. So, balancing, understanding that one of the entrepreneur's biggest pitfalls would be their health. Because we tend to go on and on and on. And we be so focused that we don't listen to what our bodies are saying. Or, you know what I'm saying, what we're going through mentally. We don't deal with certain things. We just be dedicated to the job. And we end up mentally crashing or physically getting sick, you know, and things like that. And that was basically what my pitfalls was. So I told God, while I'm in this moment when I'm being silent and working on my brand, before I launch it and everything, I'm also going to be focusing on my weight. I'm also going to be focusing on my mental health. Certain things that I do not want to be a pitfall once I start gaining momentum.
Yeah.
So that's what I would tell, you know, that's a little bit about my journey, but I also would tell people that too. The healthier you are, the better you'll be able to run your vision. The better you are physically healthy and mentally healthy. Because a lot of times when we get quiet, we tend to get in our heads.
Yeah.
So we don't hear God. We still be hearing ourselves and we think it's God. Our trauma still be speaking to us, or our excitement still be speaking to us, and we'll swear up and down as God. And it's like, no, God is not speaking. We're just in our heads. So if you're not in your word, if you're not praying, if you're not spiritually in tune, if you still haven't dealt with any traumas and stuff that you've been through in regards to business, because business will cause you trauma too if you ain't doing things right.
Indeed.
You know, and especially it's a learning process. Entrepreneurship is a learning process. You know, it's never going to be perfect.
That's right.
But you got to learn how to cleanse yourself and make mistakes and allow yourself to make mistakes, but forgive yourself and keep it moving. If you don't, you're going to have these traumas and they're going to cause pitfalls in the future. You know, when you have trust issues or you don't want to do certain things anymore, or what you love to do so much will turn into that very thing that you hate. You know what I'm saying? If you do not take the proper precautions now to take care of your mental, your spiritual, and your physical health. So that would be my takeaway when it comes to pitfalls. I'm good at everything else. Everything else, you know, I can do the flyers, I can do the brand management and stuff. But when I didn't take care of myself, everything else started to fall apart.
Yeah.
So that's why I would tell everybody, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself.
Absolutely. If you did, you can't fulfill purpose. You can't fulfill that business. You can't fulfill destiny. So, you know, right before the pandemic hit, God had gave me a challenge called the Purpose, Health, and Wealth Decade Challenge. And basically pursuing after purpose, health, and wealth over the next decade will set you up for the rest of your life. And I'm still on that journey. You know, like some parts of the journey, I have not been as fluent in. I have not been as active as I should be when it comes down to the health side of it. But God keeps pulling on me like you need to have balance in all of it. You know, because where is it that the pandemic has hit us most? Where is it where the enemy hits us most? And our purpose, health, and wealth is always in those increments, or what have you, in the spirit, but mostly in our health and mostly in our wealth. And that's usually where he cripples us the most. But what happens when we master those areas? What happens when we master it on how to be healthy? What happens when we master on how to be wealthy? Not be rich, be wealthy. When we master these areas, and when we've also elevated in our spiritual, we got the spiritual down, we got the anointing down, we got the prophetic down, we got all the gifts of the spirit. We can flow fluently in that, but we broke and we sick. And I would that you prosper, be in good health, even as your soul prosper. I would that you be in, but it's a choice.
Come on.
It is a decision. And you have to make the decision, because he gave you power to get wealth. He gave you power to eat healthy and to work out. He gave you power to go after what it is that God has for your purpose and your destiny. So he's giving you the authority. But what are you doing with it? Are you squandering it? You know, you have keys to the kingdom, but if they just sitting on your desk and in your drawer and you ain't doing nothing with them, or you got all the keys and you looking like a janitor and you not utilize them, they're worthless. It's almost pointless. So we have to be mindful of that. So I 10,000% agree and stand in agreement with you in that regard. Anybody else want to contribute?
I don't even know where to start, because y'all just talking about business like this. Like, I feel attacked right now. Like, Abisha went in on me, then you went in. I'm just like, Jesus, like, can I keep some things private for a minute? Like, I don't understand. But, you know, you guys are so right. And you said something that was just reverberating in my head, where it says, I wish that you would prosper as your soul prospers. And I think that even on this journey that we're on, the more that we prosper in our soul, the more that we connect to God, the more that we go silent and listen to Him. And everything that was said here tonight is so true. It is so valid. It is so important for us to stay connected to our truth, stay connected to our source, you know, because as you said, like, Apostle, I hear you. You stubborn, man. You know what I'm saying? But I can resonate with you. I can relate to you, because, you know, God will be, He's done that to me so many times where I'm just like, you know, I get led by my heart.
Yeah.
And I think even in this season, He's saying it's okay to have a heart, but you need to use wisdom with it, right? Because, as you said, it's not everybody that is going through something that we're supposed to help. Sometimes when we say that we're helping someone, we're actually hindering what God is trying to do in this person's life. And so we have to now make our primary default one in which where we say, okay, God, what is it that you want me to do? Do you want me to help, or do you want me, or do you want me to leave it alone? And I've gotten to the point where I'm not going to do anything now. I'm not going to. I will understand, and even if I'm in a position to help, I use wisdom now to say, okay, God, what is it that you want me to do? So I learned, just like yourself, man, when you were talking about that, I felt the baseball bat of the Holy Spirit just hit me upside the head. And I'm like, God, Jesus. Like, I literally just kind of held my head, man, because I felt it. I really felt it. But, you know, the one thing that I can say, and the one thing that is true, is that God is preparing us. Even though this process is painful, I always say, you know, God had to literally, in the last couple of years, He had to break my legs for me to sit. He literally had to put me in a position to sit down so that He could teach me a lot of things. And a lot of things are about myself. A lot of things that, you know, were toxic, that were unhealed, that needed to be fixed, that needed to be addressed. And I do believe that God is, yes, we know that He's in the healing, but He's preparing us for our next. He's preparing us for what is to come. He is using these things, these experiences, to make us more sensitive to Him.
Yes.
I use the same, and I'll be very quick with this. You know, I had the experience of starting a church with a friend, you know, and just like everybody else was talking, like, I did everything. I do not know what I did not do. But it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. And it was like, I felt like every time I tried to push us in the right direction, I kept, you know, hitting it into this brick wall. And I'm like, God, I don't understand. And there was a point where I'm like, I wanted to just walk away and leave it. And He said, no, sit still. And I sat there, and, you know, it was just not the right time to move. But at the end of the day, I had to leave that ministry. But I also learned a lot through that experience, right? I understand what it is like to start a ministry from ground up, and do everything within it. So, you know, we talk about marketing, trust me, when I tell you, I do all of that too. But God is just using all of these things. And I just say this to encourage us, you know, whether it comes to taking care of our health, the more you tap in, the more you listen to the Holy Spirit, the more it will come. And when God starts bringing people around you that, you know, they've got your back, you can trust them, they can be there to support you, even if it's just to encourage you, it makes a huge difference in our walk. But just be prepared for our next, because I honestly and sincerely believe that is exactly what God is doing in this season throughout all of these experiences, even though they're painful. And with that, I rest my mic.
My God, I'm telling you, look, I'm gonna hang tight, Clubhouse. I'm about to do something because I need to share this, but I need to shut something down first. So let me address my people over on YouTube and real quick. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the something to think about. For those of you that are on YouTube and on Facebook and in Twitter, come on over to Clubhouse. We're getting ready to shut down the broadcast online. However, Clubhouse is still going because we're still having some real talk moments. Come on in. The table is spread. We're getting ready to feast some more, what have you. But thank you so much for being a part. Again, if you want to be a blessing or so into the ministry, feel free to look at the description, get the Cash App details or the PayPal information, or back channel me or inbox me, and I'll provide you those informations. Feel free to join us on Clubhouse. We're going to go into a little bit of a after party, if you will, but it's some things that I just want to share with the room, and just as we being transparent, because that's why we have these dialogues and conversation on Clubhouse, because we want you to feel comfortable and we want you to have that transparency so that you can be able to go after putting legs to your vision. Thank you all for watching on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, and y'all have a good night. But Clubhouse, we continue on part 2 of this discussion. So, all right.